Chapter 276. Because Little Black and Little White were inseparable. So when he summoned Little Black, Little White would definitely appear too. When he saw Little White, the masked man snorted. Han Fei, I've given you enough face. Give me the thing and I'll let you go. I'll only give you 10 seconds to think about it. Han Fei responded coldly, the thing is in the stomach of my spiritual beast. With that said, Han Fei asked Little White to open its mouth wide and pretend to take out a token. However, it was not the one he had just obtained, but the prison token he found in the hexagon starfish's treasure pile. Seeing that it was a token, the masked man frowned. Sure enough, Han Fei got it. The masked man said, give it to me. Han Fei grabbed the token. Untie your spirit-restricting rope first. Of course, Han Fei didn't expect the masked man to untie it, but said to him via voice transmission, get ready. Sure enough, the masked man didn't listen to Han Fei. Instead, he drew his knife and pierced Luo Xiaobai's back. I told you to give me the token. Seeing this, Han Fei's eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and he immediately threw the token over. Just when the masked man was about to raise his hand to catch the token, Han Fei's spiritual power erupted. Little Black, bite him to death. The masked man had no idea that a fish was lurking next to him, let alone that a fish could bite through his flesh. The masked man suddenly loosened his hand and grabbed at his neck. Han Fei shouted, do it. Xia Shaochan and Zhang Xuanyu, whose eyes were bloodshot, all dashed forward crazily. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes were bloodshot, and a powerful soul wave instantly hit the masked man. Xia Shaochan flashed and appeared in front of the masked man, blocking his saber. At the same time, spiritual energy surged on her shovel, and she instantly launched the supreme stab. Flash Dance XSBAM, just when Zhang Xuanyu's soul shock fell on the masked man's mind, a barrier suddenly appeared, blocking Zhang Xuanyu's attack. And Xia Shaochan's supreme stab was bounced back by a huge force as soon as it pierced into the masked man's body. Of course, Xia Shaochan also pulled Luo Xiaobai away from the masked man. Han Fei didn't care about anything else at this time. A beam of golden light enveloped his body, and the 9-star chains and the wings of the feather god suddenly appeared. He came to Luo Xiaobai in the blink of an eye and cast the divine healing technique on her. On the other side, because everything had happened too quickly, the masked man knew that he had lost the upper hand, so he grabbed the token and began to flee. Han Fei immediately chased after him and glanced at Li Hani and the others not far away. If you dare to attack, I won't stop until you die. Lu Renquang didn't play a role in the rescue operation just now, mainly because he didn't have the special attack methods of Zhang Xuanyu and Xia Shaochan. Therefore, at this moment, he pressed the armor box and looked coldly at Li Hani and the others. Hey, don't make a mistake. Li Hani and the others also looked gloomy. How could he not be angry after being threatened by Han Fei and Lu Renquang? However, they clearly saw the scene of Han Fei and the others saving people just now. Their tacit cooperation was simply perfect. In just a blink of an eye, the person was rescued. The speed was simply too fast. Moreover, Zhang Xuanyu seemed to have a move similar to a soul attack. But just because Li Han was careful didn't mean that others would be. Flash Dance 35XS Lin Xingmu ignored Lu Renquang's threat and said, hand over the fiery mountain token. Your business has nothing to do with us. Lu Renquang put away his simple and honest look. What if I don't? On Li Hani's side, Zhong Yu, who had been silent, the 4th-ranked hunter of the 3 academies, disappeared. And the moment he disappeared, it represented the beginning of the battle. Seeing that there was no turning back, Xiang Zuozhua attacked. Violent. War. Body. Lu Renquang, who had become a peak-level great fishing master, had red skin at this moment, and his momentum soared rapidly, and huge energy gathered. In the next moment, thousands of swords and knives flew across the sky, instantly strangling the void. At this time, Lu Renquang took out a copper hammer from the armor box and smashed it at Xiang Zuozhua. Rumble, the ripples spread out for more than 1,000 meters in an instant. Xiang Zuozhuo was hammered into the soil, and Lu Renkuang was also slammed into the mountain, smashing a hole. But this was not the end. Lu Renkuang was knocked away quickly and came back even faster. In his berserk state, he could fight against Han Fei. Was he really afraid of Xiang Zuozhuo? Hu, a dragon roared, and the giant arowana appeared. The dragon roared like thunder and the demonic sound rippled, and Xia Shaochan instantly disappeared. In dozens of places in the sea, dozens of shadows flashed. When she reappeared, Zhongyu was covered in blood and had been slashed dozens of times by Xia Shaochan. On the other side, Su Yebai, Lin Xingmu, and Zhang Xuanyu vomited blood at the same time. Invisible waves rolled in the water, and Zhang Xuanyu grinned and said, "You'll have to pass me first." Xia Shaochan said coldly, "Top 10. Do you really think you're a big shot?" Everything happened in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Lu Renkuang, Xia Shaochan, and Zhang Xuanyu were like 3 city walls. Li Hani and the others were stunned by this scene. Is this the 4th Academy? Is this their real strength? While Lu Renkuang and the others were attacking, Han Fei had already started fighting the masked man. He had to admit that the masked man was very strong. The 9-star chains danced in the air, the wings of the feather god burst out mystic light, and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers formed a long snake array. But the masked man still dodged all the attacks with his weird footwork and tough body. Not only that, after the two ran for nearly 100 kilometers, the masked man suddenly turned around and charged at Han Fei. "Han Fei, you liar! Give me the sea token, or die." Han Fei sneered. "I'll give you an iron-head fish. You want to kill me? Come on." The masked man's aura suddenly soared, and he broke through from a peak-level fishing master to a dangling fisher, and then to a mid-level dangling fisher. His sword swept in all directions, and the 9-star chains and the blue sea wandering dragon daggers were all knocked away. The long sword pierced through the air, and the rainbow sword chi shot at Han Fei's chest. Spiritual energy protective cover. Fury. Water-stirring seal technique. BAM, BAM, BAM. Under the sword attack, Han Fei's spiritual energy protective cover was broken, and the water-stirring seal was knocked away. The sword chi directly nailed Han Fei's shoulder and pierced through. Han Fei was horrified. Just now, he felt that the water-stirring seal was split. Boom! Han Fei blocked it. Full of anger, he went straight to his head. "You are not from the 3 academies. You hid your strength and sneaked into the fiery mountain just for a token. Hey, if you want it, I won't give it to you. I'm going to piss you off." At that moment, Han Fei didn't care about anything else. He took out the blue sea wandering dragon bow. Without looking at the direction, he shot 1 arrow, 2 arrows, he shot 5 arrows in a row, and each one was stronger than the last. The 5th arrow contained more than the total spiritual energy of an ordinary great fishing master. At this moment, the 5 arrows danced wildly, crazily chasing the masked man. Han Fei pretended to be weak and staggered in the seawater. Seeing this, the masked man was overjoyed and immediately rushed at Han Fei. Just when he was about to reach Han Fei suddenly raised his head. One of his eyes was black and the other was white, which made him look extremely evil. Han Fei slightly leaned to the side and brushed past the long sword in the masked man's hand. And on the blue sea wandering dragon daggers in his hand, spiritual energy was boiling. Pucci, under the masked man's shocked gaze, his defense was broken. Bang! However, at this moment, Han Fei felt that there was a force in this person's body that was stopping him. It was a power that did not belong to this youth. But Han Fei split the recoil force with a single slash and grabbed the masked man's shoulder with a grim smile. In the air, 5 spiritual energy arrows arrived in an instant. The masked man was stunned. "You attacked yourself just to keep me here." Boom 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 boom. Arrows exploded one after another, and Han Fei watched the mask being bombarded by arrows. As for himself, he shifted his body by a very small margin. At the same time, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers appeared again. J. The body of the masked man. Chapter 277. Ding dang dang. The 9-star chain seized the opportunity to buckle the masked man. Han Fei smiled and slashed the masked man crazily with a blue sea wandering dragon dagger in one hand. 35xs. The masked man was on the verge of tears. Every time he tried to counterattack, he failed. The defensive seals within his body were already covered in cracks. If this continued, he would really die. Ah! Han Fei, damn you! The long sword in the masked man's hand had pierced through Han Fei's abdomen twice in a row, but this guy seemed to be crazy and didn't care at all. The masked man was horrified. Han Fei, I'm from the Sun family of the 1,000-star city. You can't kill me, or even the 4th Academy can't protect you. However, Han Fei didn't seem to hear it and continued to slash. His spiritual energy flowed like water. I don't care what kind of barriers have been planted in your body. I don't believe I can't kill you. Kacha. The masked man panicked. Han Fei, the Sun family will not let you go. Han Fei, ugh. Noisy, Pucci, Han Fei stabbed the masked man's heart and ended his life. A moment later, Han Fei cancelled the fusion, sat on the ground weakly, and hurriedly performed the divine healing technique on himself. Too strong. The masked man's strength was completely beyond his expectations. Although the forcibly increased strength was not stable, it was still at the level of a dangling fisher. Just now, if he hadn't protected his chest with the water-stirring seal, if he hadn't been possessed by 9 tails and little gold, and if he hadn't practiced the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies, he might have been stabbed to death. After recovering a little, Han Fei did not dare to stay any longer. Dragging his heavily wounded body, he immediately searched the masked man's body, only to find that the token of prison was gone. When he found a sea-swallowing seashell from this guy, he was overjoyed. My goodness, this guy really has an extraordinary background. Han Fei scanned the sea-swallowing seashell, only to find that it had an area of almost 100 square meters, and a lot of things were piled up inside. Having no time to read them one by one, he waved his hand and took out the Fiery Mountain token and the prison token. Wow, this guy has 29 Fiery Mountain tokens. Putting away the masked man's sea-swallowing seashell, Han Fei looked back and thought to himself, I won't kill you. At this point, would you let me go if I don't kill you? Like a fucking idiot. The moment the masked man was killed, a middle-aged man slammed the table in the 1,000-star city and stepped out of the city. Han Fei immediately returned at full speed. Except for taking a few breaths of air when he encountered the bubble algae on the way, he did not dare to stop at all. When Han Fei came back, the place had been beaten into a mess. Zhang Xuanyu lay on the ground, holding Luo Xiaobai's vines and panting. Lu Renhuang was covered in blood and had dozens of wounds. He was also holding the vines and panting. Xia Xiaochan's hair was messy and she stood on the rock, but Han Fei noticed that her hands were shaking, which seemed to be a sign of overexertion. Luo Xiaobai had woken up, but she was seriously injured. At this moment, seeing that Han Fei was back, Xia Xiaochan was immediately relieved and sat down on a rock. Without a word, Han Fei healed everyone. Seeing that Han Fei's face was pale and messy, and blood was flowing out of his body now and then, Xia Xiaochan quickly got up. How are you? Where are you hurt? Seeing that everyone was fine, Han Fei was also relieved and quickly performed the divine healing technique on himself. That bastard hid his strength. Xia Xiaochan asked, Is that bastard dead? Han Fei replied decisively, Yes, but that guy is very strong. He's from the 1,000-star city. Immediately, Luo Xiaobai and the others changed their expressions. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Not good. Let's go out and find an exit to leave the fiery mountain. While performing the divine healing technique on them, Han Fei asked in surprise, What's wrong? Today is only the 6th day. Luo Xiaobai shook her head. If, as you said, he's from the Thousand-Star City, then he must have a purpose to sneak into the fiery mountain. Otherwise, people from the city wouldn't appear in a small place like the Blue Sea Town. But he's here. It's very likely that he's not alone. Maybe he has a force behind him. Han Fei's expression changed. Judging from Luo Xiaobai's tone, something was wrong. Why do you know the Thousand-Star City so well? Luo Xiaobai is also from the Thousand-Star City. Before Han Fei could think further, Lu Renkuang said telepathically, then let's hurry up. We've already got the greatest benefits here. Let's go. Zhang Xuanyu said lazily, what are you panicking for? This is a treasure trove. What are you scared of? Are you scared that someone will attack you? Luo Xiaobai said, let's take a rest and break out of the circle of silver fish. We can't stay here any longer. Han Fei sat down too. He was too exhausted just now. If he hadn't had so many methods, he might not have been able to defeat that guy. Han Fei felt that the sword was not an ordinary weapon. Even his water-stirring seal was cracked by it. Looking at their miserable state, Han Fei couldn't help but ask, where are Li Hani and the others? Lu Renkuang grunted and said, the three of us managed to tie with them, but watch out for Lin Xingmu. He's not a good guy. Zhang Xuanyu said, don't worry. They're not much better. Zhong Yu lost a hand to Xia Shaochan, and Su Yebai and Lin Xingmu were heavily wounded. But that Xiang Zuozhua is really tough. She's probably the second person born with extraordinary strength other than you. Lu Renkuang and I almost failed to resist her when she went on a rampage. Han Fei slightly nodded. Xiang Zuozhua was indeed very strong. He already knew that in their first battle, but he hoped that he wouldn't run into them outside of the Blue Sea Town. Luo Xiaobai said, let's gather our fiery mountain tokens and see how many there are. Han Fei said, I just got 29 from the masked man. Plus the previous ones, there should be 140, right? Did you rob them again after you were inside? Luo Xiaobai shook her head. No. A moment later, they confirmed that there were indeed 140. Luo Xiaobai said, there's no need to rob them. Let's go out. Lu Renkuang asked quickly, can we take the top 5 places? Luo Xiaobai simply said, not the top 5. The top 10 are enough. The 5 of us have an average of 28 each, which is a lot. Also, a lot of people died in the treasure trove, and their fiery mountain tokens either fell into the magma or disappeared. So, in general, we have more than half of the fiery mountain tokens. About an hour later, everybody was finally recovered. Luo Xiaobai, who was more seriously wounded, was supported by Xia Shaochan. It wasn't difficult for the 5 of them to pass through the silver fish array. After they passed through, they saw a floating gate in the distance. They didn't intend to look for other opportunities, as they had already gained a lot from the trip to the fiery mountain. Outside, the presidents of the 3 academies and Xiao Zhan were on their respective boats. However, the 3 village leaders all looked gloomy at this moment, because Xiao Zhan was having hot pot on his boat. The fragrance of the hot pot forced the 3 presidents to steer their boats away from the wind. Su Tianji stood at the head of the boat and looked at Xiao Zhan after a long time. Xiao Zhan, is the Thug Academy really not scared of repeating the same mistake? Xiao Zhan picked up a piece of tender lobster meat, dipped it in the sauce, and swallowed it. Then he replied unhurriedly, scared? When has the Thug Academy ever been scared? Chu Mengxue asked, Xiao Zhan, where did the 4th Academy go when they left? Bai Kongyi has been hiding for 30 years, but you're still unwilling to tell us now that you're back. Xiao Zhan's hands slightly shivered. Then he smiled. Don't overthink it. We just pissed off the wrong people. Su Tianji snorted. Bullshit. Do you really think we're idiots? Xiao Zhan didn't say anything. He didn't care if they believed him or not. When the presidents were about to ask more questions, the exit slightly trembled. Wu Junwei roared, someone is coming out. Chu Mengxue was surprised. It's only the 6th day. Why are they coming out? Bam! 5 figures suddenly broke out of the water. Luo Xiaobai spotted Xiao Zhan the moment she came out. She immediately threw out her fishing rod and hooked it to the fishing boat. The others cast their hooks too and soon landed on their own boats. Xiao Zhan was stunned. Why did you come out in advance? Luo Xiaobai said quickly, Master, let's go back to the town. Wu Junwei was furious. Nonsense. The trial is not over yet. Why are you going back to the town? You brats, why are you so flustered? What exactly did you do inside? Su Tianji asked, boys from the 4th Academy, what did you do in there? The 3 presidents' first reaction was that they killed a lot of people and were surrounded. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been so panicked. Chu Mengxiue said, you're all wounded. You must have fought a lot in there. Don't worry. This is a trial. Fights are inevitable. We won't attack the juniors. Xiao Zhan also said, don't worry. Nobody dares to attack you. Luo Xiaobai explained, no, Master, someone from the 1,000-star city sneaked into the 3 academies. Chu Mengxiue's face immediately changed, and her aura soared. Little girl, don't talk nonsense. You'll have to take responsibility. Han Fei turned around and sneered. The 1,000-star city, the Sun family, before Han Fei finished, a magnificent aura suddenly descended. The seawater flowed backward, and a man stepped on the sky with unparalleled pressure. He was dozens of kilometers away a second ago, but in the next second, he was already 100 meters away. Who killed my son? Chapter 278. Up in the sky, the voice was like rolling thunder from the 9 heavens. Just one sentence was enough to make the seawater surge. 35xs. As soon as the middle-aged man arrived, he looked at Han Fei coldly. Being looked at like that, Han Fei felt as if a mountain was pressing down on him at that moment. Pooh! Han Fei vomited a mouthful of blood, and his body was bent unconsciously. Huh! Han Fei slammed the snow-silver rod on the deck, and blue veins bulged all over his body. He tried to look up at the man in the sky. Humph! Xiao Zhan's face changed instantly. He stepped on the surface of the sea, and the seawater within a radius of 100 meters floated in the air. He threw a punch, and a fist shadow dozens of meters long broke through the air. Rumble, the void exploded, and the seawater within 1,000 meters was exploding. On the sea, right below the place where the fist shadow was destroyed, there was a 100-meter wide pit, which showed how powerful the blow of Xiao Zhan and the middle-aged man was. Han Fei felt that his chest was loosened, and he vomited a mouthful of blood again. Han Fei was shocked. So strong, too strong. He felt that the man could crush him with only one finger. At that time, Han Fei secretly communicated with Forge the Universe. If he had to, he would choose to enter Forge the Universe and wait for revenge in the future. However, Xiao Zhan stepped on nothing. With a splash, a pair of wings unfolded behind him. Different from Fang Zhe's snow-white wings, Xiao Zhan's wings were red, more enchanting, completely different from Xiao Zhan's usual naivety. Xiao Zhan's momentum was rising sharply. After a while, the floating water droplets around him began to break. A weird big conch appeared. This strange conch was floating in the air. It actually had 8 mouths, and a tentacle extended out from each mouth. Xiao Zhan was full of fighting spirit and said in a domineering voice, "Who are you? Why did you attack my student?" The middle-aged man frowned slightly. 8-armed conch, are you that guy from the Thug Academy? My name is Xiao Zhan. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't blame me for killing you. Flash Dance 35xs, Xiao Zhan roared, and spiritual energy from all directions surged towards him. At that moment, in the eyes of Han Fei and the others, Xiao Zhan seemed to be a painting of a demon, unparalleled and domineering. The middle-aged man laughed. Killing you? You're just a peak-level hidden fisher. Everyone and the presidents of the other 3 academies were stunned. Xiao Zhan was a peak-level hidden fisher. What about this domineering middle-aged man? Even peak-level hidden fishers looked down on him. How strong was he? Han Fei said telepathically, "You guys, run immediately if something goes wrong. The person he's looking for is me." Zhang Xuanyu scolded, "Who said it was you? Even without you, we wouldn't have killed that masked bastard. If we run when something happens, are we still brothers?" Luo Xiaobai said, "I'm the cause. I'll take care of it." Han Fei said anxiously, "What are you talking about? Is this something you can solve?" Xia Xiaochan he unsheathed his sword, his eyes cold. "I'm not leaving." Lu Renquang said nervously, "We can't escape either." Seeing that Xia Xiaochan was looking at him, Lu Renquang hurriedly said, "Why should we go? Let's fight it out with him." But how could they make a move? The middle-aged man snorted, grabbed some seawater with one hand, condensed it into a water man, and rushed into the gate of the secret realm of the fiery mountain. Then, the middle-aged man looked at Xiao Zhan and said coldly, "Let me fight you." The Thug Academy should have disappeared long ago. The middle-aged man stretched out his hand and clenched his fist, and 100-meter-long ice crystal python suddenly appeared in the air. The giant python roared in the air, emitting a strong smell of blood, and the magnificent momentum almost made Han Fei and the others tremble. Lu Renquang swallowed. What's that? Han Fei looked solemn, and a string of data flashed. 35 XS Ice One-Horned Python Ice Mutant, with the bloodline of the ancient ice serpent. Its body is like a crystal, it has a natural horn, and its ice veins can freeze the sea for 1,000 kilometers, legendary creature? Han Fei was shocked. A legendary creature? So this is the strength of the Thousand-Star City. It's really powerful. In contrast, Han Fei had some data on Xiao Zhan's 8-armed conch. 8-armed conch, the product of the mutation of the 8-armed black octopus and the mutant sea cucumber conch. It has unparalleled defense and regeneration abilities, inherited mysterious arrays, and can lock the entrance of the void. Exotic, mutation, Han Fei took a deep breath. Although the 8-armed conch seemed very powerful, it was actually one level lower than the mutant sea cucumber conch. Even if exotic creatures had mutated, they couldn't be a match for legendary creatures, could they? If the 8-armed conch's level was higher than the ice one-horned python's, it wouldn't be a big deal. But now, it seemed that it was almost impossible. 8 godly pillars appeared in the sky all of a sudden, standing in 8 directions. Xiao Zhan's fists exploded 3 times in a row. When he punched out, red light shone brightly and half the sky was dyed blood red. Azura Life and Death Fist. The middle-aged man's face changed several times. Endless snow rose around him, and an ice spear was held in his hand. He clapped his hands, and the sky rumbled. The ice one-horned python opened its mouth and charged at Xiao Zhan with the spear. For Han Fei and the others, their eyes were almost blinded. Han Fei saw that the void was frozen, and a glamorous red fist aura collided with the weird spear. Rumble, crack. Crack, the 8 divine pillars were instantly full of cracks. Han Fei and the others didn't see what happened next at all. They were all blown away together with their boats. So were the presidents of the 3 academies next door. Although they weren't weak, they were still pushed dozens of kilometers away together with their boats. The moment Luo Xiaobai was blown away, she tied up Han Fei and the others with vines. Lu Renquang took out his armor and shield from his armor box and shouted, "Cover armor." It was Lu Renquang's only ancillary ability, which could slightly improve everyone's combat ability. Whether it was useful or not, he just needed to add it. Han Fei shouted, "Attach, attach," the 9-tailed mantis shrimp and little gold attached themselves at the same time. In the water, the golden and red wings covered them. Bam, Lu Renquang vomited blood 3 times in a row, and the others were all pale. They were smashed into the sea. Han Fei vomited 2 mouthfuls of blood, and the 2 layers of attachment were directly broken. Huh? Han Fei didn't know that just when he attached, the middle-aged man in the sky exclaimed in surprise. At this moment, Han Fei just wanted to avoid being attacked by the fish. As a result, a large number of fish and shrimp in the sea were directly shocked to death. Many fish were flipping their bellies. Han Fei emerged from the water carrying Lu Renquang. In the blink of an eye, everyone was shaken dozens of kilometers away. The white fishing boat turned over on the sea. It could be seen how terrifying the blow just now was. Just when Han Fei and the others climbed onto the boat, a billowing airwave came at them again, and 100-meter-high wave rolled down. Han Fei was horrified. Fuck you, everyone was smashed into the water again. With their strength, they didn't know how the battle between Xiao Zhan and the middle-aged man was. When they climbed onto the fishing boat again, the wind and waves had calmed down a lot, and Xiao Zhan and the middle-aged man in the sky had separated. At this moment, Xiao Zhan was several kilometers away from them. Although he was still standing proudly in the air, his hands were dripping with blood, most of his clothes were blown up, and half of his chest was exposed. The middle-aged man grabbed with one hand, and the waves rolled again, trying to grab Han Fei's fishing boat. Xiao Zhan landed on the sea and stomped on the sea. The huge waves subsided, but he also vomited a mouthful of blood. Only then did Han Fei and the others see Xiao Zhan's appearance. His whole body was stained with blood, his chest was heaving, and one of his arms was bony. However, Xiao Zhan didn't notice it at all. Sun family of the 1,000-star city, I'll remember you. When I go to the city, I'll destroy the Sun family first. The middle-aged man snorted coldly. Xiao Zhan, don't dig your own grave. Do you really think I dare not kill you? Ha ha ha, Xiao Zhan laughed aloud. Kill me? It's not a problem to kill you even if I die. Why don't you try? The middle-aged man's eyes flickered as if he was considering the feasibility. At this time, in the gate of the secret realm of the fiery mountain, the body of the masked man was brought back by the waterman. The middle-aged man coldly looked at Han Fei again. This time, Han Fei stepped forward. Old son of a bitch, what are you looking at? Your son is allowed to kill people in the secret realm, but nobody else is allowed to kill him? Why is that so? The middle-aged man snorted coldly. Xiao Zhan punched out, and an invisible wave of air was broken. Han Fei survived. The middle-aged man took off the mask of the masked man. His face couldn't have been more awful after a glance, and the seawater around him surged again. Chu Mengxue, the president of the Third Academy, was surprised. Is this Chao Yuan? Han Fei was stunned. Chao Yuan. Wasn't he ranked 9th on the top 100 list? However, it didn't matter what his name was at this moment. The middle-aged man looked at him. My son, Sun Yi, died because of you. Hand over the thing. Han Fei said angrily, what thing? Your son wants something from me, and so do you. How do I know what I have? Chapter 279. Everyone looked at Han Fei. At this moment, Han Fei was appalled. What the hell kind of token did I bring back? This middle-aged man was so indifferent to the death of his son, and he still asked for the token. No matter what this token was used for, Han Fei knew that it was definitely more important than he thought. Of course, Han Fei wouldn't admit it. Immediately, a series of angry, aggrieved, and dumbfounded expressions appeared on Han Fei's face. However, the middle-aged man snorted coldly. Stop pretending. Since Yi came to you, it must be with you. Boy, hand it over, and I may spare your life for the sake of the Thug Academy. If you don't, die. Xiao Zhan sneered. How arrogant. Do you think you can threaten the students of the Thug Academy? Fuck off. Xiao Zhan roared. The word, fuck off, turned into rolling thunder. In terms of ferocity, no one was more ferocious than the Thug Academy. However, the middle-aged man stretched out his hand, and spears all over the sky surged down like a tide. Let's see how many times you, Xiao Zhan, can resist me. Just as the middle-aged man said this, a huge palm suddenly appeared in the sky and slapped down. The middle-aged man's face changed greatly. He was possessed by a divine turtle tens of meters long, but he was still slapped into the water. The force of the slap caused a wave of 100 meters to rise. Under the surging waves, everyone could still hear a loud bang from the bottom of the sea. Han Fei swallowed. Who could slap such a strong man from the surface of the sea to the bottom of the sea with one slap? In the next moment, the middle-aged man broke out of the water, and his hair was scattered by the slap. Who is it? Xiao Zhan breathed a sigh of relief. Old Bai, you're a little late. Old Bai. President? Han Fei and the others were speechless. Why is Old Bai so fierce? A figure suddenly appeared on the surface of the sea. Old Bai put his hands behind his back. I thought it was some little bastard. It turns out to be someone from the Sun family. Little fish, ask Sun Baixing to come over. Let's see if he dares to say that he wants to kill the people of the Thug Academy. Who do you think you are? Old Bai raised his hand, and a giant hand slapped down again. That terrifying power directly crushed the spirit turtle that the middle-aged man possessed. Even the fusion state was forcefully dispelled. The whole sea surface was sunken, and Han Fei and the others widened their eyes. Gulp. Zhang Xuanyu swallowed his saliva. The principle is quite strong. Han Fei was shocked too. It's more than a little strong. He's not even human, okay? Pa! Han Fei was slapped on the head. On the surface of the sea, Old Bai glanced at him. Little Baldy, shut up. Han Fei's face turned green. This old bastard had gone too far. He had even knocked off his headscarf. Han Fei hurried to cover his head with the scarf, only to find that Xia Shaochan and the others were staring at his head. What are you looking at? Being bald is the best way to accentuate my handsome appearance. Everyone, Han Fei clicked his tongue. It feels great to have someone to back you up. Old bastard, you stare at me. Kick me again if you dare. Your eyes are bigger than mine. Why didn't I glare at you like a doyu? How dare you ask for something from me? Is there something wrong with your head? Now that Old Bai was backing him up, Han Fei immediately cursed aloud. After only a moment, he had spewed out 100 different profanities, which made Old Bai and the others all look at him in shock. The middle-aged man swallowed hard. Little thief. Han Fei immediately looked at Bai Kongyi pitifully. Mr. President, he cursed me. Bam, Bai Kongyi was quite satisfied with Han Fei's eloquence. He couldn't help but say, so what if my students cursed you? You're shameless. You've disgraced the Sun family by bullying a few kids. The middle-aged man was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Bai Kongyi, Gam. Is that what you call me? The middle-aged man roared and unleashed all his spiritual energy. In the blink of an eye, 3 contractual spiritual beasts appeared, a turtle, a lobster, and a big spotted fish. Bam! 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 3 consecutive slaps, and the 3 contractual spiritual beasts were all slapped back by Old Bai. Old Bai sneered. Why? Are you angry? I'm just pissing you off. In the trial, not just your son, even if the entire Sun family dies, you'll have to pay for it. The middle-aged man half knelt on the sea. Do you really think he can keep the sea token? The sea token? For a moment, the presidents of the 3 academies who were exclaiming nearby all changed their expressions. Briefly stunned, Bai Kongyi glanced at Han Fei. But then he slapped the middle-aged man again. Why? Do you think the Thug Academy can't afford the sea token, or what? The Thug Academy can't afford it, but your Sun family can. Huh. All of a sudden, the middle-aged man disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already 1,000 meters high in the sky. He roared, Heavenly Spirit suppresses the sea. As the middle-aged man roared, a 1,000-meter-long seal descended from the sky. The middle-aged man vomited 3 mouthfuls of blood in a row, dyeing the seal and the air red. He was truly infuriated. He seemed to be trying to turn the tables with a weird tactic. However, Old Bai took a gentle step forward. He raised his hand, and endless seawater rose to the sky. Han Fei and the others couldn't see it again. This time, they finally saw what an immortal's trick was. What overturning rivers and seas? That was simply a drizzle. Han Fei swallowed the whole time. That was too ferocious. Is this the president's strength? He must be even stronger than an immortal. The sky was exploding non-stop, and the sky became gray. As far as the eye could see, only surging waves could be seen. Heavenly spirit suppresses the sea. Next door, Chu Mengxue, the president of the Third Academy, exclaimed in shock. Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. After dozens of seconds, a middle-aged man covered in blood soared to the sky and ran away. The seawater fell, and the waves gradually subsided. Han Fei and the others lay pale-faced on the boat, only to see Old Bai walking close with his hands behind his back like an old man. Old Bai snorted. What the hell? As Old Bai clenched his hand, the fishing boat turned over and floated on the sea again. But what made Han Fei feel sorry for was his white fishing boat. Xiao Zhan stomped a big pit on it, and then it was affected by the battle. Now the hull was deformed. Xiao Zhan gasped. Old Bai, heal your wounds. Old Bai raised his hand, and a beam of light fell on the fishing boat. Han Fei and the others only felt that a mysterious power was quickly healing Xiao Zhan's wounds. Xiao Zhan's skeletal hand was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, it didn't look like it had been injured at all. Luo Rinquang's voice was a little trembling. Fei Fei, our president is a bit terrifying. Zhang Xuanyu sat on the deck, his eyes glazed, as if he was still recalling. In contrast, his 7-layered waves in furious sea was like a child's play, not even comparable to a small wave in the sea just now. Xia Xiaochan was the same. She was also shocked. However, she was also curious. Xia Xiaochan said in surprise, just now, I seem to feel the aura of a terrifying sea monster. Is that a human? Han Fei smiled bitterly in his heart. I felt it too. I even saw it. A legendary creature was right in front of them. How could they not feel the horrifying aura? At this moment, the presidents of the 3 academies were all shocked. They knew that Bai Kongyi was strong, but they didn't expect him to be so strong. Also, judging from the situation, the middle-aged man actually knew Bai Kongyi, and Bai Kongyi knew him too. Was it related to the secrets of the past? They had always been curious about why the Thug Academy, which was at the peak of its glory years ago, suddenly declined. What happened exactly? Bai Kongyi walked to the boat lazily. Seeing Han Fei's concern, he couldn't help but be angry. It's just a broken boat. It doesn't matter if it's broken. Our school is not short of money now. We can just buy a new one, Han Fei said gloomily. This is a boat from the city. Is it for sale in the Linglong Tower? Old Bai ignored him and said unhurriedly, it's not a big deal. Don't take it to heart. They have the sea token. With the reputation of the Thug Academy, it's a great honor for us to take a sea token. He was domineering, arrogant, and uninhibited. The appearance of Xiao Zhan and Old Bai just now made Han Fei's fondness for the Thug Academy soar. It was true that having an old man at home was like having a treasure. He could do whatever he wanted in the future. Han Fei took out the sea token and looked at it. President, what kind of token is this? Why do the city people want it? Also, did I cause any trouble? The others also came over and looked at it. Some even held it in their hands and played with it, but they didn't find anything. Old Bai snorted. You want to know what it is? Wait until you can break through the level 3 fishery. Let's talk about the level 3 fishery later. Chapter 280. Because the trial hadn't ended and the crisis had been resolved, Han Fei and the others were not in a hurry. After all, Old Bai was so powerful that he could shoot the big shots in the city as easily as shooting ironhead fish. Half a day later, Han Fei woke up from cultivation and his injuries had almost recovered. He was just glared at, but he was more seriously injured than everyone else. He was a little scared when he thought of it. As soon as Han Fei opened his eyes, he saw Xia Shaochan and the others standing in front of him, pointing at him and discussing something. Zhang Xuanyu clicked his tongue and said, "Hey, why is Han Fei's hair gone?" "Well, it's shiny. I guess even ironhead fish can't beat him." Xia Shaochan looked at the back of Han Fei's head. "Of course, he can even kill a group of dragonhead fish." Lu Renquang asked curiously, "Can't it grow back with spiritual energy? Could it be that he has some sort of special hobby and is deliberately wearing a shiny bald head?" Luo Xiaobai persuaded them, "If you keep talking, he will be angry when he wakes up." Han Fei's spiritual energy burst out, shaking them away. He touched his head and suddenly said angrily, "Where is my headscarf?" Everyone immediately dispersed. Luo Xiaobai looked at the sea, Lu Renquang cleaned up the hot pot, Zhang Xuanyu waved his rod to fish, and Xia Shaochan ran away in stealth mode. "That's too much. You guys are too much. Do you know what it means to be non-mainstream?" With that, Han Fei hurriedly ran to Old Bai who was sleeping on the top of the boat. "President, can you help me? Can you help me grow back my hair?" Old Bai sneered. "I don't have the ability to help you grow back your hair." Han Fei wailed, "Don't. I have a feeling that it can grow back, but I don't know what's blocking it." 35xs, Old Bai turned over and continued to bask in the sun, too lazy to talk to Han Fei. Xiao Zhan chuckled. "You must have absorbed a lot of energy when you were tempering your body, which scattered the energy in your body. Due to the fact that your body tempering technique is to seal off your major acupoints, the energy in your body is currently in a mess, and it has seeped into every corner of your body, causing your hair to be unable to grow out. But that's not a big deal. To put it bluntly, it's just that you have eaten too much good stuff, and your body is unable to take it. Once I'm done digesting it, I'll be fine." Han Fei. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. "So this is the reason." Xia Shaochan appeared at the head of the boat. "That's right. I'm afraid you're the only one who survived the fish fire. I really don't know how you did it." Han Fei didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "So, I'm weak now. What do you mean by not being nourished?" "I'm very strong, okay." However, Han Fei still asked timidly, "Master, when can my hair grow out?" Xiao Zhan shrugged. "Maybe when you become a peak-level great fishing master, you'll have to become a dangling fisher first. Don't panic, it's going to happen soon." Han Fei was speechless. "Don't panic. I'm panicking right now. Can't they see the four of them staring at my skull?" Han Fei hurriedly grabbed the turban and wrapped it around himself again, sulking. On the morning of the 7th day, Han Fei made a big lobster in sauce. Holding a big lobster, he sat on the top of the boat and devoured it. Lu Renquang snuck over. "Fei Fei, you're overnourished now. How about I help you eat?" Han Fei didn't even raise his head. "Get up. It's just a lobster. I can eat it all by myself." Zhang Xuanyu and the others sat next to the hot pot and looked at Han Fei speechlessly. "You're too stingy. I just stared at your bald head for a while. I've been angry for a whole day. Do you have to be so angry?" Lu Renquang swallowed. "I always feel that the lobster in sauce is more delicious than the lobster hot pot." Flash dance. Old Bai didn't care. He carried a jar of wine and sat next to the hot pot. Let him eat it alone. What's wrong with hot pot? Anything that goes with wine is delicious. At this moment, someone came out of the secret realm and saw Han Fei and the others at first glance. The picture of a person holding a big lobster 2 or 3 meters long and devouring it made their mouths twitch. Someone's face turned green when he saw Han Fei. Why did this guy come out first? Han Fei pointed at one of them and said, yes, you still owe me a fiery mountain token. I came out early just to wait for you. That person's face turned green. You still remember this? The others were stunned, and Zhang Xuanyu said, what? Do you still owe me this thing? Han Fei chuckled. I'm merciful and didn't kill anyone. I kindly let them go. Isn't it reasonable that they owe me a fiery mountain token? That person's face turned black. Are you shameless? Merciful? Merciful my ass. Not only did you rob us, but you also threatened us to owe you a fiery mountain token. I've never seen such a shameless person. This person was from the Second Academy. Su Tianji couldn't help but ask, what's going on? The young man heaved a long sigh and threw a fiery mountain token to Han Fei. Fine, you're a big shot. I can't afford to mess with you. Here's a fiery mountain token. Please forget me from now on. Han Fei took over the fiery mountain token and nodded as if it were a matter of course. You're very sensible. After a while, people walked out of the secret realm one by one. Every few people, Han Fei pointed at them and asked for their fiery mountain tokens. Xia Shaochan climbed to the top of the boat speechlessly. How many people owe you their fiery mountain tokens? Han Fei thought for a moment and sighed. I don't remember. I don't think there are more than 10 of them. Maybe it was because of their pride. In front of so many people, they naturally didn't want their fiery mountain tokens. So most people chose to give them to him. But there were 2 people from the First Academy who were more straightforward. I just won't give them to you. What can you do to me? Of course, Han Fei couldn't do anything to them. He just stared at them with his eyes. He kept staring at them until they panicked, thinking, is this guy holding a grudge against me? Is he going to make trouble for me in the future? One guy couldn't stand it anymore and immediately threw a fiery mountain token at him. Stop staring at me. Han Fei spat. How shameless. You owe me a debt. I can stare at you until my scalp is numb. Then he turned his eyes to the last person. Han Fei didn't know his name, but he could still remember who he had robbed. This person was speechless. Fuck, I've never met such a shameless person in my life. You are a strong man. Is it fun to bully us? In the end, this person still gave it to him, mainly because he couldn't stand it anymore. Han Fei had been staring at him, so all the people who came out were staring at him. The feeling of being the center of attention was not good at all. It seemed that he had become a person in other people's eyes who didn't pay his debts. When Han Fei accepted the last fiery mountain token, Li Hani and the others came out and looked at Han Fei immediately. Li Hani and the others' faces slightly changed. Han Fei was eating lobster outside? Where was the masked man? Han Fei looked at Zhongyu, whose arm was obviously unnatural. It was said that one of his hands was cut off by Xia Shaochan, but now it seemed to be reconnected. But it made sense. With Xia Xiaochan's saber skills, she could make a clean cut, and if she treated it in time, it was possible to reconnect it. Zhang Xuanyu and the others immediately stood up. Lu Renquang stared at Lin Xingmu and said fiercely, "Don't let me see you next time, or I'll beat you to death." Han Fei was puzzled and asked Xia Shaochan telepathically, "What did Lin Xingmu do to Lu Renquang?" I feel that I missed something. The corners of Xia Xiaochan's mouth curled up, and she replied, "Nothing, I was just hung up and beaten." Then, his clothes were almost torn off. "Don't tell anyone that I said that." Pooh. Han Fei spurted out the lobster meat in his mouth. When he looked at Lin Xingmu again, his eyes changed. Seriously? Does this guy have such a hobby? He even has the heart to beat Lu Renquang? Lu Renquang immediately looked at Han Fei and then at Xia Shaochan, saying angrily, "Xia Shaochan, did you speak ill of me?" Xia Shaochan snorted. "I don't even want to talk to you." Lin Xingmu snorted too. They stood on the bow of the boat and looked at Han Fei and the others across the air. It was obvious that they had a grudge. Luo Xiaobai said, "Don't be impulsive. We'll meet again in the future." Xiang Zuozua threatened, "Yes, we'll meet again." At that time, the twin hammers in my hands won't show any mercy. Xia Shaochan rolled her eyes at her. "Do you think I'm afraid of you? I'll meet you next time." For a time, the scene was a bit tense. The key to the problem was not what these two teams had experienced, but that there was a female big shot in both teams, and each of them was fiercer than the other. After waiting for another half a day, everyone was here. Many people came out dejectedly. They didn't get the opportunity, but their fiery mountain tokens were robbed. They just went on a tour in the fiery mountain. Wu Junwei snorted, "Enough. Now that everyone is here, let's see the result." Chapter 281. This time, a total of 252 people walked out of the fiery mountain, and 53 of them died. Of the Flash Dance 35XS, nearly 10 had been killed by Han Fei or seen by him. In other places that he couldn't see, there seemed to be a lot of fights between the contestants. Just when Wu Junwei said this, almost all the contestants present didn't move and all looked at Li Hanni's team and Han Fei's team. Li Hanni frowned. With a wave of his hand, 89 fiery mountain tokens floated in the air, which made the people of the three academies' blood freeze. This number was quite high. There were only 305 fiery mountain tokens in total this time. However, most people didn't know that Li Hanni had been cheated by Han Fei when he passed the chain assessment. Otherwise, the number would only be higher. Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Han Fei." Han Fei looked disdainful, waved his hand, and muttered, "Don't you know how to wave your hand?" When a dense circle of fiery mountain tokens flew out, the people of the three academies were dumbfounded. Many people were looking at each other. "Huh? You were robbed by them?" "Huh, you weren't robbed." Some people were speechless. The fiery mountain tokens that they worked so hard to get were given to Han Fei and his team in the blink of an eye. Someone sighed. "Forget it. Even without Han Fei and his team, there must be another similar team. Anyway, it's not our turn." Coupled with Han Fei's shameless stare, in the end, Han Fei's team collected 151 fiery mountain tokens, which was almost half of the fiery mountain tokens. At this time, Kang Yunfei also took out 27 fiery mountain tokens, which attracted many people's attention. The fact that a single person could get so many fiery mountain tokens was enough to show the strength of the sixth on the top 100 list. In fact, his strength had also improved. As for the rest of the fiery mountain tokens, they collected a total of 18 fiery mountain tokens, which directly caused the presidents of the three academies to lose all their dignity. Flash Dance 35 Su Tianji snorted and didn't ask where the remaining 20 fiery mountain tokens went. They must have been completely lost in the secret realm of the fiery mountain with the death of some people. Xiao Zhan stretched out his hand, and 151 fiery mountain tokens flew directly and inserted into the deck of the presidents of the three academies. Old Bai said quietly, "Do you still need proof? I've already told you that the Thug Academy will definitely return. All 5 students from our academy have been selected." Han Fei and the others immediately looked at Old Bai. "What encirclement? Wait a minute. What kind of agreement did the two of you come to?" "So, we're not just here to train." Xiao Zhan said in a low voice, "Don't ask. You will know when you need to know." Han Fei spoke to everyone telepathically, "I feel that we're living in the middle of a huge conspiracy." Pa! As soon as he said that, he felt a heavy slap on his head. Old Bai looked back at him. "Bullshit. Isn't it because of you little fish?" Han Fei was shocked. "My voice transmission can be heard." Everyone was dumbfounded. Would there still be secrets to speak of in the future? Xiao Zhan patted Han Fei's head. "Your spiritual power is stronger than others. You can hear it too." Han Fei. Han Fei frowned. "Can you not pat my head? The deans of the 3 academies all had different expressions on their faces. In the end, Wu Junwei said, "By Kangyi, since you want it so badly, why don't we give you a few spots? However, don't blame me for not reminding you that it's really not worth it. The Thug Academy is different from the 3 academies." Old Bai smiled disdainfully. "Since the Thug Academy dares to come out, we're not afraid of anything." Flash Dance 35XS, with that, Old Bai glanced at them. "Let's go back to school." On the fishing boat, Han Fei and the others were dumbfounded. They had no idea what the spots Old Bai and Wu Junwei were talking about were. So, they came to participate in the Fiery Mountain trial just to get a spot. On the way back to school, they passed by the plantation. At this moment, the members of the Fish Dragons were taking care of the plantation. Because someone was watching over it, everything was in order. Old Bai looked at them for a while and said, "When you get to school, each of you will spend a month digesting and absorbing your harvest this time. Then, you can all go to farm." "Everyone?" Han Fei shivered. He knew too well how painful it was to farm. Having been at school for so long, he knew that there was such a large plantation outside, but he never mentioned it because he didn't want to farm. But now, what was wrong with Old Bai? Why did he ask them to farm? Han Fei immediately rolled his eyes. "Mr. President, I feel. Well, 1 month is not enough for me to digest." "Oh, is that so?" Han Fei quickly nodded. Old Bai said lazily, "It doesn't matter. You can digest it while farming." Han Fei. After a while, Old Bai left and went back to his library to sleep. Xiao Zhan looked at the people who were whispering to each other and said, "Han Fei, since you used to take care of plantations, keep working hard in the future." Lu Rinquang asked, "Sir, why does the president want us to farm?" Xiao Zhan smiled. "Every student of the Thug Academy will have a period of farming time, which is called mind nurturing." "Mind nurturing?" The others all asked. "What is mind nurturing?" "We don't need it." Xiao Zhan smiled. "Go ahead. You'll know why you have to farm in the future." Everyone's face turned green. Zhang Xuanyu put his arm around Han Fei's shoulder. "How does it feel to farm?" Han Fei grinned and smiled weirdly. "You want to experience it? Don't worry. You'll be able to experience it in a few days." As soon as they returned to the school, they saw Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan trotting towards the gate. When the two of them saw Han Fei, they were both taken aback. Han Fei lost weight. Han Fei went bald. Han Fei said gloomily, "What are you looking at? Close your eyes." The two of them, Zhang Xuanyu's eyes flickered, and a weird smile appeared on their lips. They almost burst out laughing. Han Fei stared at them. "Hurry up. Go. Go, Ironhead Fish." Chu Jinnan pretended not to see it. "Senior brother, senior sister, you're back." Han Fei was stunned for a moment. He was not used to being called senior brother. So, he put on airs and nodded. "Well. How's your physique training going?" Chu Jinnan's face was slightly pale. "Well. Senior brother, I've only practiced to the 96th movement." Han Fei was speechless. The movement could be completed in 3 days, but this guy couldn't even complete a whole set of movements in 10 days? His physique was truly lousy. Ling Yuan said, "Senior brother, senior sister, nice to meet you." Luo Xiaobai said, "Let's go and check." She was taken away by Luo Xiaobai before she finished her sentence. Han Fei muttered, "Tisk, Xiaobai is good at everything, except that she is too serious." Xia Xiaochan rolled her eyes at Han Fei. "Do you think everyone is like you? I'm leaving too. I'm going to cultivate." Zhang Xuanyu also left. He walked to Chu Jinnan and patted him on the shoulder. "Good luck." Lu Rinquang looked at Han Fei. "Don't you want to have a hot pot before you cultivate?" Han Fei replied, "I'm lazy. I don't want to move." "You can eat it. You can cook it yourself. Then, Han Fei looked at Chu Jinnan. Continue your cultivation. When you can't suppress your cultivation anymore, you can come and look for me. Chu Jinnan nodded hard. For some reason, he felt that his senior brothers and sisters seemed to be different this time. Han Fei found a random cave and sat in it. There were too many things for him to digest. First, he took out Sun Ye's sea-swallowing seashell. But before Han Fei had the time to look at it, his face slightly changed. He sensed danger. He raised his head, only to see that Xia Shaochan was looking at him in pain. Xia Shaochan said in a shivering voice, "I'm going to have an attack. Let's go to the mountain." Han Fei's face changed. He immediately put away the sea-swallowing seashell and ran to the top of the mountain with Xia Shaochan. On the top of the mountain. Half an hour later. Han Fei leaned against a big rock, panting. His clothes had been torn to shreds. He kept casting the divine healing technique on himself, and more than 30 wounds were healing quickly. Xia Shaochan sat on a rock nearby and looked at Han Fei apologetically. Han Fei took a long breath. Why? Why did you suddenly have an attack? Xia Shaochan shook her head. I don't know, but I guess it has something to do with the fish fire. Ever since I absorbed and refined the fish fire, I always felt that something was wrong. Han Fei frowned. The fish fire? Didn't it help you become a peak-level great fishing master? Xia Shaochan hugged her knees aggrievedly. I don't know. Although I made a breakthrough, the fish fire still lingered. Just now, when I tried to consolidate my cultivation, it seemed to have a conflict with the power in my body. Chapter 282. Han Fei didn't know what it was like to absorb the fish fire. He had devoted all the fish fire to the indestructible body and didn't dare to let it enter his body at all. 35xs Han Fei asked carefully, has it been consumed now? Xia Shaochan buried her head and shook her head again, hugging her knees. Han Fei took a deep breath. It seemed that he wouldn't have a chance to cultivate in the next few days. If he didn't consume the energy in Xia Shaochan's body, the girl would go on a rampage at any moment. With her strength and destructive power as a peak-level great fishing master, he was willing to bet that nobody except himself and Lu Renkuang could resist Xia Shaochan's peak outburst. Even Lu Renkuang couldn't resist it. Han Fei smiled helplessly. Forget it. I'll practice with you for a few days. I'll just change my clothes. Xia Shaochan seemed slightly relieved, but then she said in a low voice, I haven't had an outburst in months. I really didn't feel anything when I was in the water. Han Fei was deep in thought. Last time, you had an outburst because of the power of lightning, right? This time, it's the fish fire. Do you think it's because you reject all other external forces? Xia Shaochan shook her head. I don't know. Han Fei could tell that Xia Shaochan was panicked. Han Fei was lost for words too. To be honest, he was slightly envious. He had a cheat, but in the end, the girl could crush him to the ground with a random force. It didn't feel good at all. Returning to the cave, Han Fei took out Sun Ye's sea-swallowing seashell and searched it. Wow! High-quality pearls. It was the first time that Han Fei had seen high-quality pearls. They were shining. They would be really beautiful as decorations. However, there were only 100 of them. 35xs. When he took them out and sensed them, he immediately noticed that they were different. The high-quality pearls contained spiritual energy. What a shame that they're not as abundant as low-quality spiritual stones. They must be advanced currencies. There was another boat in the sea-swallowing seashell, but it was not as good as the white boat. It seemed to be just a boat in the town. In terms of quality, it was much worse than the white boat. Han Fei didn't bother with it. Apart from the fishing boat on the side, there was a pile of mid-quality pearls, weapons, stones, and dead seafood. Huh. Spirit fish. Only then did Han Fei remember that there were still hundreds of phantom fish in Forge the Universe. Including the ones here, there would be thousands of them. However, to Han Fei's embarrassment, the phantom beads dug out by 1,000 phantom fish were only enough to enhance one person's perception. Luo Xiaobai had never encountered a tide of ghost fish, so she probably hadn't taken it. He wondered if anyone else had taken it. Forget it, let them divide it among themselves. Han Fei checked them one by one. Except for the spiritual longsword that Sun Yi used, the rest were all magic weapons. Among them, there were only 2 high-grade magic treasures, a staff and a spare longsword. Battle skills. Han Fei took out a demon-level high-quality combat skill, on which the ultimate swimming technique was written. Swimming skill. Han Fei was overjoyed. As a matter of fact, he had been planning to go to the library to look for a book on swimming. If he couldn't find it, he could ask Xia Shaochan for the roaming technique. But now, it really didn't take any effort at all. The reason why he could catch up with Sun Yi was that Little Gold was fast. Without Little Gold, Han Fei wouldn't even be able to see Sun Ye's heels. After a moment. Shadow swimming art, remarks, someone learned the spirit fish mystic shadow movement technique from watching the tide of spirit fish. It's the most elegant swimming technique. 35 excess disadvantages, because it has both movement technique and speed, it can't reach the peak. Deduced art, unknown deduction cost, 500,000. Han Fei frowned. The shadow swimming art was much better than the wandering dragon art. That was for sure. However, it didn't seem to have any special features except for its elegant posture when it was in use. He was wondering if he should continue deducing it. But when he saw the spiritual energy in Forge the Universe, he immediately gave up the idea. A demon-level, divine-quality swimming technique was enough for now. Now that he was already a peak-level great fishing master, he would need a lot of spiritual energy to deduce the void fishing art and the saber manipulation art. As for his current spiritual energy storage, he couldn't make unnecessary consumption anymore. Han Fei cleaned up Sun Ye's sea-swallowing seashell and replaced it with his own. Then he looked at the saber manipulation art. Recently, Xia Shaochan was like a ticking time bomb. Damn it, I have to make use of this time to improve my combat skills and physique. It would be best if he could become a peak-level great fishing master. Otherwise, if he couldn't handle it, it would be a big problem. Han Fei calmed himself down and activated the saber manipulation art. Saber manipulation art, remarks, a transcendent saber manipulation art. The saber is filled with killing intent. When you comprehend the saber intent, you'll start to learn the basics of saber manipulation. When you master it, you'll become one with the saber. Perception, 76100. Deduced art, unknown deduction cost, 0.20000000 inch deduce. After half an hour, a brand new combat skill appeared in Han Fei's mind. Saber scripture, remarks, a collection of hundreds of saber techniques and combat skills, including saber techniques, saber manipulation, saber intent, and saber realm. Deduction cost, 0.30000000. Han Fei took a deep breath. Heaven level, divine quality, continued deduction required 30 million points of spiritual energy. Even if he added up all the spiritual energy and forged the universe, it wouldn't be enough. However, this saber scripture was not simple. In his mind, countless pieces of information emerged. Han Fei found that the saber scripture was almost all about the difficulties and solutions encountered on the way to cultivating a saber. And there was only one page of combat skills. There was only one move on this page, which was called draw. Yes, draw the saber. Draw the saber. Han Fei was speechless. I spent 2 million points of spiritual energy just for a draw skill. The description of draw the saber was like this: the momentum of draw the saber is a combination of essence, chi, and spirit. When it moves, it's like a storm, and when it retracts, it's like a calm sea. In an instant, the enemy's head is cut off by the saber. Han Fei looked at this description helplessly. This thing was completely a killing technique and could only be used on enemies. If he were to use it on his own people, he might accidentally kill them. On the second day after they returned to school, Xia Shaochan came to Han Fei again. The two of them battled on top of the mountain. This battle was earth-shattering. Mountain rocks tumbled down from the sky. Sometimes, there were even dragon roars. The moment the giant Xia Arowana appeared, no one could continue cultivating anymore. Luo Xiaobai and the others all went up the mountain. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were also curious. What happened on the mountain? When Ren Yu stood at the top of the mountain and asked again, why is it acting up again? Isn't Shaochan already a peak-level great fishing master? Did something happen in the secret realm of the Blazing Mountain this time? Xiao Zhan also frowned and looked at Old Bai. President, is it possible that the Sun family played some dirty tricks? Old Bai shook his head. No, she improved too fast. At this moment, the energy within his body was exploding. And what surprised me was, if it was energy Bao. Why didn't it erupt when we were in the sea? Why did it only erupt when we got back to Levitating Island? Xiao Zhan, Han Fei's knife skills seem to have improved a lot. What's going on? Hearing Xiao Zhan's words, the three of them noticed that Han Fei had been struggling to keep up with Xia Shaochan at the beginning. But now, he could barely keep up with Xia Shaochan's pace. How long did it take? At this moment, Han Fei looked extremely serious. He didn't fuse them but was practicing his knife skills according to the experience in the Saber Sutra. Not far away, Zhang Xuanyu and the others who had just climbed up suddenly frowned. Did Xia Shaochan attack again? Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan turned pale. Spiritual energy was erupting in the knife and sword shadows, and waves of spiritual energy visible to the naked eye exploded in the air, spreading like ripples. Wherever the two fought, the place turned into ruins. The mountain rocks were shattering and the ground was sinking. Xia Shaochan cut a mountain rock tens of meters in diameter into two halves, and the cut was as smooth as a mirror. And Han Fei followed Xia Shaochan and split the mountain rock again. In the blink of an eye, the mountain rock was cut into countless pieces. Ling Yuan swallowed. Senior brother, do we need to fight to the death in training? Luo Xiaobai whispered, don't ask. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan didn't know that there was something wrong with Xia Shaochan. They just felt that Xia Shaochan was too ruthless. Looking at the scene in front of them, it was impossible for the two of them to survive a casual slash. Chu Jinnan swallowed the whole time. Ling Yuan was a little better than him. At least she was an armorist, so she could block them for a while. As a manipulator, if he encountered these two freaks, no amount of seaweed could help him. Zhang Xuanyu's face sank. Fatty, can you still block them now? Lu Renquang shook his head helplessly. No way. Don't you see the dozens of wounds on Han Fei's body? Chapter 283. The battle went on, and Han Fei and Xia Shaochan attacked more and more fiercely. 35x the power inside Xia Shaochan's body suddenly burst out, and the giant arowana appeared again. This time, it was different from the previous roar that sounded like a dragon's roar. This time, it actually fused directly. Holy shit, Han Fei's face changed greatly, and he shouted, fuse. Attach, bang, this was the first time that everyone had seen Xia Shaochan fuse with the giant arowana. Two swords the show directly tore through the air, creating a terrifying blade aura. Even the 9-star chains were all knocked away. Xia Shaochan flickered and appeared in front of Han Fei, shattering his spiritual energy protective cover and the clothes on his upper body with 2 slashes. In the blink of an eye, dozens of wounds appeared on Han Fei's perfect body. Luo Xiaobai's face changed greatly. Not good. Let's attack together. Han Fei retreated quickly and cast the divine healing technique on himself. At the same time, he shouted, don't come any closer. Han Fei was gradually able to withstand the power of Little Black and Little White. Although there was still madness in his eyes, he had not lost his mind. At this moment, if Luo Xiaobai and the others came over, they would be sent to their deaths. On the top of the mountain, as soon as Wenren Yu stepped out, Han Fei suddenly shouted, "Attach!" Instantly, a pair of golden red wings appeared. Han Fei stepped into the air and flew into the sky. What kind of contractual spiritual beast is this? Old Bai, Wenren Yu, and Xiao Zhan were dumbfounded. Old Bai said, "Wait a minute. Let's wait and see." On the other side, Lu Renkuang exclaimed, Yes, I wanted to ask you before. I caught a glimpse of it last time. Could it be that you've caught a contractual spiritual beast?" Zhang Xuanyu had a strange expression on his face. "We can fly." On the side, Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were stiff and their eyes almost popped out. "You're telling me this is a great fishing master? Which great fishing master is so ferocious? Which great fishing master could grow wings?" Han Fei stood in the air. However, to his bitter smile, Xia Shaochan flashed and appeared in the sky. Ding ding ding, the wings blocked the attack, and dazzling sparks shone in the air. The only advantage was that Xia Shaochan couldn't fly. In the sky, he was far less agile than on the ground. While Xia Shaochan was using the momentum of the attack, Qin Haodong froze in midair. Han Fei found an opportunity to bump his head into Xia Shaochan's belly. Bang! A hole was smashed in the mountain, and Xia Shaochan finally stopped. The giant arowana was also unattached and absorbed into Xia Shaochan's body. Han Fei landed and sprinkled a beam of light over. After a long time, he heard Xia Shaochan's soft voice. "Is your head a spiritual weapon?" Han Fei took a long breath in relief. "You're still naughty. It seems that you've made it." On the top of the mountain, Old Bai heaved a sigh of relief. "It's about time. It will probably be peaceful for a while." Wenren Yu and Xiao Zhan looked at Old Bai strangely. What did he mean by a period of peace? Xia Shaochan couldn't go on like this. Old Bai explained, "As long as she gets stronger, the suppression will be stronger. At least for now. After all, there's still Han Fei to fight with her." Xiao Zhan asked, "What kind of power does she have?" Old Bai scoffed. "How should I know?" At this moment, Luo Xiaobai and the others ran over immediately. Covered in blood, Han Fei complained, "I can't take it anymore. I feel like I've been hollowed out. Lu Renkuang, can I swap with you?" Lu Renkuang's face turned green. There was no way he would change it, even if he died. "You can still beat her, but I'll be beaten into an iron-head fish in less than 10 minutes, half an hour later." Lu Renkuang went to make hot pot, saying that he was not in the mood to cultivate after such a scene and wanted to have a meal first. Everyone gladly accepted. Han Fei changed a set of clothes and covered his bald head again. Seeing Xia Shaochan sitting on a tree trunk and swinging her feet, he shivered. "It won't happen for the time being, right?" "Puchi," Xia Shaochan grinned. "Look at how scared you are. Do you think I'll eat you?" Han Fei shook his head like a rattle. "You won't eat me, but I'm absolutely sure that you will hack me to death." Lu Renkuang was making hot pot at the moment and looked over from time to time. Finally, he said to Xia Shaochan, "Come to Han Fei next time. Anyway, you can't be killed." "It doesn't matter. You're welcome." Han Fei, Luo Xiaobai and Zhang Xuanyu ran over from the library with a large pile of ancient books. Seeing that Han Fei had come out, they said, "Check the ancient books. Maybe we can find the answer." Xia Shaochan sighed helplessly. "Don't bother. I've read all the ancient books here. However, after this attack, it won't happen again for a while." Hearing that, Han Fei was relieved and put his hands on his hips. "That's great. I feel that the world is safe." Xia Shaochan, Zhang Xuanyu sat down on the ancient book. "Han Fei, what? Is your spiritual beast? Xia Shaochan also regained her previous cheerfulness and asked, Yes. I saw it. It even has wings. Han Fei didn't intend to hide it. The feather god Ray would show up sooner or later, and going to the fiery mountain was just an excuse. Immediately, with a thought from Han Fei, the feather god Ray appeared on the ground. At this moment, it was folding its wings and rubbing against Han Fei happily, thinking, You've finally let me out. Han Fei said, A mutant feather god Ray, an exotic spiritual beast. Everyone gasped. Luo Xiaobai stared at the feather god Ray. Han Fei, are you sure it's an exotic spiritual beast? Not a legendary one? Han Fei thought to himself, do I really have to tell you? Immediately, he patted Little Gold's head and said, It's an exotic spiritual beast, but it looks a little strange. I found it in a treasure trove in the fiery mountain. Pa, put it away. Just when Han Fei was about to make up a story, he felt that someone slapped him in the forehead. He looked back, only to see Old Bai disdainfully saying, I hate braggart like you the most. A legendary spiritual beast is a legendary spiritual beast, not an exotic one. You don't even know basic common sense. Exotic. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Huh? What basic common sense? Old Bai glanced at the feather god Ray and then said, There are no contractual spiritual beasts that can fly below level 30. There are no exotic spiritual beasts. Han Fei. When Ren Yu stood next to Xia Shaochan and said with a smile, You're lucky. However, do you know why only hidden fishers can fly among ordinary cultivators? Han Fei asked in a daze, Why? The corners of Wen Ren Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Because humans can't fly. However, when you become a peak-level hanging fisher or a hidden fisher, you can hunt a special kind of fish and get their wings. That's how you get the ability to fly. Immediately, everyone looked at Han Fei and thought to themselves, Keep bragging. Han Fei was speechless for a long time. I fucking thought that the wings of a hidden fisher were cultivated by themselves. But it turns out that they were obtained from a fish. Han Fei was extremely embarrassed. Even hidden fishers had to get wings from fish, but now he had wings and could fly. Wasn't this a blow to his pride? For a moment, the atmosphere was a little awkward. Han Fei immediately patted Little Gold's head. You lied to me. I thought you were an exotic creature. That's too much. Everyone, Little Gold was dumbfounded by Han Fei's slap. What's wrong with me? Why did you hit me? Lu Rinhuang held the spoon and said in a daze, So. Legendary? Zhang Xuanyu swallowed. So, the greatest benefit of the secret realm of the fiery mountain was actually taken by you? Luo Xiaobai nodded. More than one. Only then did everyone remember that the token that Han Fei got had attracted the experts of the Thousand Star City in person. Just like that, even a fool would know that this thing was definitely extraordinary. Old Bai looked at Han Fei as if he were an idiot. So. Do you understand? Don't let others find it, or don't even use it. Or use it, but don't let others see it. Zhang Xuanyu mumbled, put his arm around Lu Rinhuang's neck, and walked to the kitchen. I can't mess with people with legendary contractual spiritual beasts. Chapter 284. Han Fei silently took back Little Gold. He had thought that he could use Little Gold reasonably in the future. After all, he had been exposed before. Now, it was the opposite. He was crying because of his own stupidity. Even Luo Xiaobai glanced at Han Fei in disdain, as if saying, Keep bragging. I'll never believe you again. The atmosphere was awkward. Xia Shaochan jumped down from the tree and patted Han Fei's arm generously. A legendary creature is a legendary creature. It's nothing to be surprised about. Anyway, it won't be better than my giant arowana. Han Fei was helpless. Are you comforting me or irritating me? At this time, Xia Shaochan asked him via voice transmission, is that a legendary creature or not? Han Fei's eyelids twitched and he quickly said, "Of course it is. What else can it be but a legendary creature?" Xia Shaochan said gloomily, "The president once told me that the giant arowana is a legendary creature." Hey! I still haven't figured out how powerful a legendary creature is. Han Fei forced a smile. Legendary. Of course it's a legendary creature. Xia Shaochan smiled slyly. Huh? Aren't you surprised? Han Fei shut his mouth. Han Fei almost wanted to die. Why did I fall into a trap again? Could people nowadays be a little more sincere and a little less scheming? When they were eating hot pot, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan came. For some reason, the two of them felt that the atmosphere was weird, but they didn't dare to say anything or ask anything. Han Fei said to liven up the atmosphere, "Hey! Are you short of phantom beads? I have extra ones here." Zhang Xuanyu snorted. "You want to please us?" "Not at all. Fatty and I have already eaten them. They won't work if we eat more." Xia Shaochan smiled. "I've eaten them too." Luo Xiaobai asked in surprise, "What phantom bead?" Xia Shaochan giggled. "When we were in the fiery mountain, you appeared directly on the mountain, so you don't know. There is a kind of fish that can become invisible and has a kind of bead in its body. If you eat it, your perception range will be increased." Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. 35xs Han Fei shrugged and thought to himself, "I can't please her. Luo Xiaobai is just an iceberg and won't please me. If you need it, just ask for it yourself." Han Fei waved his hand helplessly, and thousands of phantom fish piled up on the ground in the forest. Luo Xiaobai nodded, stretched out her hand, and countless thin vines pierced the dead phantom fish. Not long after, a large number of specter pearls were laid out in front of her. Luo Xiaobai frowned. "How much do you want?" Old Bai took a sip. "This thing is just so. But it should be enough for you alone. Also, give Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan one each." Old Bai and Xiao Zhan continued to drink, obviously not taking it seriously at all. Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan widened their eyes. This fish looked very strange. Its body was actually transparent. The key was, what was that specter pearl? Luo Xiaobai ate so many by herself and barely had enough, but they only needed one. When Ren Yu frowned and said, "Han Fei, hurry up and put it away. It smells fishy. You can leave now." "Did anyone make trouble for the fish dragons this time?" "I solved it for you." Han Fei was taken aback. "Who?" When Ren Yu smiled faintly. "That's not the point. The point is that I bought dozens of rolls of cloth for you." Wow, Han Fei's blood froze, and he felt that everyone's eyes were focused on him. Luo Xiaobai nodded coldly. "Yes. My clothes are ruined." Xia Shaochan blinked her eyes. "Yes, we're back to school. You can change your clothes." Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan, the two novices, were confused again. This time, Ling Yuan asked in a low voice, "Senior brother Han Fei, do you know how to make clothes?" Old Bai said leisurely, "Well, your teacher Xiao Zhan and I don't have clothes to wear." Fei. Han Fei felt that his young heart had been hit hard. "I don't need to cultivate. I'm very busy, and you want me to make clothes?" Han Fei sat in the cave, muttering to himself while refining clothes. Fortunately, he didn't need to do it himself. He just needed to throw the cloth in, but this also required spiritual energy. Of course, in the eyes of outsiders, they wouldn't know where Han Fei threw the cloth. 35xs After refining the clothes and jewelry, Han Fei was ready to try to cultivate the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies to see if he could continue to improve it. In the Starfire Pavilion, after forcibly tempering the indestructible body with the power of the fish fire, the upper limit of his spiritual energy had reached 2,999 points. Although it was only 1 point away from 3,000, it was a huge gap. Han Fei felt that it would be best if he could make a breakthrough and grow out his hair first. Otherwise, he could only make a cassock for himself. However, before Han Fei started, he saw a figure blocking the entrance of the cave. Han Fei was shocked, thinking that Xia Shaochan was here again. She was the only one who could appear here without a sound. However, when Han Fei looked up, he found that Old Bai was leaning lazily against the stone at the entrance of the cave. "President?" Old Bai said lazily, "I heard from Xiao Bai that you didn't choose a heaven-level combat skill in the secret realm but chose a mortal-level fish avatar technique?" Han Fei was speechless. He should have thought of it. Xiao Bai was a straight girl, so she must have told him everything. Han Fei rolled his eyes and chuckled. "President, you even know this?" "Yes, but I haven't studied it yet." However, Old Bai asked, "Why did you choose this?" Han Fei said confidently, "If I can become a fish, wouldn't it be much easier to find treasures in the sea in the future?" Surprisingly, Old Bai didn't refute but asked, "You said it was incomplete. You even chose an incomplete version. Do you think you can complete it by yourself?" Han Fei was thinking quickly. Why is this old man so interested in a mortal-level fish avatar technique? He immediately shook his head. How can it be so simple? This is not so much a combat skill as a conjecture about transforming into a fish. There are too many things involved in it. When Old Bai heard this, he immediately asked suspiciously, "Really?" Han Fei said, "Of course, I can also tell you about it." Han Fei thought to himself, "I've been so frank. Why do I have to lie to you? This book is about theoretical knowledge, but the combat skill is like a thesis. Even if I study it, I may not be able to learn it." But who would have thought that Old Bai sat on the stone? "Oh. Then tell me about it." Han Fei was dumbfounded. "I'm just being polite to you. I don't want to tell you anything." In the end, Han Fei could only pick a paragraph casually and said, "In fact, most of the contents are conjectures. For example, humans, fish, and all things in the world have one thing in common, that is, spiritual energy and energy. Assuming that human beings can completely separate themselves into these two things, then theoretically, they can transform into all things in the world." Old Bai narrowed his eyes slightly and then sneered. "How difficult. What else?" Han Fei said, "And if human beings can destroy their meridians, then theoretically, they can change the shape of their bones and flesh. In principle, they can also be transformed into fish." Old Bai's pupils shrank again and he sneered again. "Ha, how many people can survive after destroying their meridians? How can spiritual energy circulate? It's just a fantasy." Han Fei chuckled and said, "Yes, after I read it, I also said it's impossible. If I destroy my own meridians, won't I become a fisherman again?" In fact, Han Fei thought to himself, Ren Tianfei is a fucking exception. This guy's meridians are all broken and he forcibly cultivated himself into a fish without meridians. And all this appeared in the indestructible body. Who said it couldn't be realized? Old Bai said leisurely, "What else?" Han Fei thought to himself, Old Bai must be up to something. Why is he so interested in the fish transformation technique? However, an idea suddenly occurred to him. How could I forget this? Han Fei sat up straight and asked, "President, do you know about the Soul Ocean?" "Huh?" Old Bai suddenly looked at Han Fei, and his pretentious laziness also disappeared. Old Bai stared at Han Fei and asked, "Does the book mention the Soul Ocean?" Han Fei was also taken aback by Old Bai's reaction, but he could only bite the bullet and say, "The book says that human souls originate from the Soul Ocean, and spiritual beasts also live in the Soul Ocean. The so-called spiritual awakening is actually to find a spiritual beast that agrees with you in the Soul Ocean." Old Bai's face became serious at this moment and he asked, "What else?" Han Fei blinked. "And the author doesn't know about it either. He has never been to the Soul Ocean, so I don't know about it." "But, President, is there really an ocean in the soul?" Old Bai's face changed and he glanced at Han Fei with a complicated look. "Theoretically, there is. Otherwise, where does the spiritual beast go after entering the body?" Han Fei asked suspiciously, what about contractual spiritual beasts? Aren't contractual spiritual beasts also taken into the body? Old Bai nodded. Theoretically speaking, when you have a contractual spiritual beast, it will have the ability to go to the soul ocean. This is why some people summon blade fish, but the blade fish they summon will be stronger and have a longer vitality than ordinary blade fish. Han Fei gasped. President, is there a way to go to the soul ocean? Or has anyone been there? Old Bai sneered. How would I know? However, there is a high probability that there is no such way. If people can enter the soul ocean, won't they become spiritual beasts? Suddenly, Old Bai stared at Han Fei. You mean, the author wants to create a way to let people enter the soul ocean in the form of a soul? Then, the spiritual beast that is possessed in the soul ocean will reappear in this world? Han Fei's eyes widened. I didn't say that. I just wanted to know the way to enter the soul ocean. God knows how you came up with this idea. Old Bai seemed a little excited. Okay, let's stop talking about this. Remember, don't mention the matter of turning into a fish to anyone. In the future, even in school, you'd better not mention it. Han Fei was stunned. Why? Old Bai snorted. This is a forbidden technique. It is said that someone once succeeded, but after succeeding, he became a sea demon. Anyway, remember, a lousy mortal-level fish avatar technique can never turn you into a fish. Don't try it. If you want a heaven-level combat skill, the library has it. But don't study this fish avatar technique. Han Fei nodded, but in fact, he was horrified. Become a sea demon? Chapter 285. Of course, Han Fei was not frightened by Old Bai's words. From the moment he got the fish avatar technique, he knew that it was not easy to practice. The reason why he hadn't deduced it was that he was savoring the knowledge and feasibility of the book. It was undeniable that the person who wrote this combat skill was either a genius or a lunatic. Han Fei felt that the person was more likely to be a lunatic. That was because, from the beginning to the end, the descriptions and deductions in the book were all in the direction of how to play oneself into a cripple. However, this kind of reasoning made people feel that it was very reasonable, and they were fascinated by it. After Old Bai left, Han Fei quietly sealed the entrance of the cave. Give it up. That's impossible. I have to deduce it. A new combat skill appeared in front of him. Existing combat skill of fish avatar technique remarks of a semi-finished avatar type combat skill, only for reference. Deduction cost, 0100000. Deduction result, unknown. Remarks the direction of the deduction is unknown. The result of the deduction is unknown. Please be cautious. Han Fei narrowed his eyes slightly. Why should I be cautious? Anyway, if I can't deduce something good, I won't practice it. Deduce. After a while, to Han Fei's great expectations, a new combat skill appeared. Existing combat skill of fish avatar technique remarks a semi-finished avatar type combat skill, created by dozens of people, only for reference. Deduction cost, 0300000. Deduction result, unknown. Remarks the direction of the deduction is unknown. The result of the deduction is unknown. Please be cautious. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. The name and the level didn't change, but the grade changed to ultra quality. Han Fei couldn't help but gasp. This is a mortal-level combat skill. In the past, the deduction of a mortal-level combat skill only required 1,000 points of spiritual energy. It could even be deduced to a mortal-level divine quality combat skill with 1,000 points of spiritual energy. But could it be deduced to an ultra-quality combat skill with 100,000 points of spiritual energy? Han Fei took a look at this ultra-quality fish avatar technique again. He was immediately captivated by what he saw. Yes, this combat skill hadn't changed much in essence. However, after the grade was improved, there were a lot of other things in it, and there were even real-life experiments. Interesting. Han Fei stopped practicing. He was now very curious about the fish avatar technique. All of this was too profound. Back then, when he possessed Blackie and entered the Soul Sea, that feeling was something that he could not forget for a long time. Now, he had a new hope. For example, there was a passage in which someone successfully destroyed his own meridians and was treated with great medicine. In the end, he survived. Unfortunately, he encountered the same situation as Ren Tianfei. At the same time that his meridians were destroyed, the spiritual energy in his body also collapsed. However, this person did not give up. He actually found a spiritual spring and swallowed it. Although the spiritual energy was still overflowing, his body had become a moving spiritual spring. This person finally used the fish transformation technique, but the result was not ideal. It couldn't be said that it didn't succeed. It could be said that gills, fins, and even his skin was transforming, becoming soft. Unfortunately, this person was only able to transform halfway before he died, weakly, just like that. Seeing this, Han Fei frowned. What would happen when one cultivated the immortal body to the end? The only thing he had accomplished so far was this layer of skin. There was only one word to describe it: tough. It was impervious to blades and impervious to fire and water. Of course, except for Xia Shaochan. As for his flesh and bones, although they had also been tempered, they were still far from being perfect. If he practiced the fish avatar technique now, he might end up like that guy just now. Flash Dance 35XS. However, what shocked Han Fei even more was that the consumption of the mortal level ultra quality had reached 300,000 points of spiritual energy. How horrifying was this number? If the mortal level was so high, what about the rest? Han Fei continued to try. After a moment. Existing combat skill: a fish transformation technique. Note: a semi-finished transformation combat skill, combined with hundreds of years of research, only for reference. Deduction consumption, 0.10000000. Deduction result, unknown. Note: the direction of the deduction is unknown, and so is the result of the deduction. Please be cautious. Wow, Han Fei was stunned and gasped. Only at the mystic level. Another deduction would consume 1 million points of spiritual energy. Most importantly, this thing was still a semi-finished product, which meant that it still had no cultivation value. In Han Fei's mind, a lot of data and information flooded in. His first reaction was to experiment, and there were a lot of experiment examples in it. Han Fei couldn't help but swallow. This was much more than the trial data just now. There were hundreds of examples. After roughly sorting out the mystic level fish transformation technique, Han Fei found that the theoretical knowledge hadn't changed much, but the deduction process and details were richer. As long as he tried it, he could basically turn into half a fish. Of course, he couldn't survive more than 3 days. Han Fei looked at all the examples one by one, and none of them could survive more than 3 days. Huh. Suddenly, Han Fei's heart did a flip. It was said that there was a young man who was born with incomplete meridians and could only stay in the realm of a level 2 fisher for the rest of his life. Han Fei thought for a moment. Wasn't this referring to his previous self? Wasn't he like this at the beginning? It was said that someone forcibly broke the young man's meridians, injected spiritual spring water to replace them, and was repeatedly treated by a spirit gatherer. In the end, the young man survived and practiced the fish transformation technique. In the end, the young man turned into an ironhead fish. His bones and flesh had undergone earth-shaking changes, and he could even maintain a little consciousness, becoming a rare ironhead fish. Wow, Han Fei was shocked. Did I succeed? Han Fei hurriedly continued to study, but in the end, he found that only this one case was successful, and the others were all dead. But even so, Han Fei was still very shocked. One success meant that the fish avatar technique was feasible. Han Fei quickly wanted to continue deducing, but when he saw the 1 million points of spiritual energy, he immediately swallowed. No. I can't deduce anymore. I need spiritual energy to become a peak-level great fishing master, and I need spiritual energy to deduce the 4th level of the true spirit fishing art. By then, the growth of my spiritual heritage will need spiritual energy, and so will all kinds of cultivation. At this moment, more than half of the spiritual spring pond in Forge the Universe had fallen. I'm afraid that when I become a dangling fisher, it will be consumed up. Forget it, this combat skill can't be mastered overnight. I'm afraid that even if I deduce it to the spirit level, I may not succeed. I might as well deduce it in the future when I have a chance. Han Fei. Han Fei. Just when Han Fei was thinking deeply, he suddenly heard Xia Shaochan calling his name in a low voice from the gap of the cave entrance. Han Fei hurriedly pushed the stone away, only to find that the sky had already darkened. At this moment, the 3 moons were in the same sky, and the night wind was blowing gently. It was very quiet. Xia Shaochan was hiding at the entrance of the cave, looking very cautious. Han Fei asked, Xia Shaochan, what are you doing? Shoo. Xia Shaochan jumped into the cave, took Han Fei's arm, and whispered, tonight, we are going to do a big thing. Han Fei was taken aback. What big thing? Zhang Xuanyu, you, and I, the 3 of us are going to explore teacher Xiao Zhan's secrets. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. Huh? What secrets does teacher Xiao Zhan have? Han Fei thought, Xiao Zhan is just a silly uncle. What's there to explore? Secrets? Xia Shaochan said quickly in a low voice, have you forgotten where teacher Xiao Zhan got his bull conch? He used to sell bull conches every day, and there was always a bull conch in the small puddle in the school every day. Don't you doubt it? Han Fei sneered. Where did he get it? He fished it up. People like them can casually throw a fishing hook 1,000 miles away like it's a joke. Xia Shaochan shook her head. No. Then why didn't he fish for something else? There are many more delicious than bull conches. Ha! That seems to be the case. Han Fei frowned. Why didn't I think of this? In the past, many people ate bull conch hot pot. Everyone was used to it, but no one asked where the bull conches came from. Later, after seeing Wenren use fishing methods, everyone thought they had figured it out. It turned out that Wenren Yu fished them in this way. Han Fei thought to himself, anyway, I can't practice the fish avatar technique anymore. It's interesting to explore the origin of the unknown bull conches. Han Fei quickly asked, where is Zhang Xuanyu? Why are Kuang and Xiaobai not here? Xia Shaochan said, Xiaobai can't come. Kuang said he wanted to sleep like a dead pig. Zhang Xuanyu said he would persuade him. After a while, Zhang Xuanyu poked his head into the cave, saw Han Fei and Xia Shaochan, and was overjoyed. Fei! You've joined us. Han Fei rolled his eyes. You should have called me earlier. Where is Kuang? Chapter 286. Zhang Xuanyu dragged Lu Renkuang out by force. 35xs. Not only Lu Renkuang, but Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan also poked their heads out, looking curious. Xia Shaochan exclaimed, huh? Zhang Xuanyu, you brought them here too. Zhang Xuanyu chuckled. Let's go together. Let them see what the cohesion of a team is. Chu Jinan waved his hand. Hello, senior brother, senior sister. Ling Yuan asked, are we really going to, Kue, teacher Xiao Zhan? Zhang Xuanyu's face suddenly changed. What do you mean? Kue. What we are doing is exploring, seeking knowledge. In the Thug Academy, except for Old Bai who slept in the library every day, Xiao Zhan and Wenren Yu actually occupied a mountain. At this moment, it was dark and windy, and the cool wind blew on the leaves, making a rustling sound. Han Fei and the others all held their breath and even changed their clothes into fish suits. All the little bells on Xia Shaochan's body were removed. 6 silhouettes floated in the darkness like ghosts. Suddenly, the 6 of them saw a figure standing in front of them. Wow, everyone was shocked. Have we been discovered? We haven't even gone up the mountain yet. However, the figure said to them via voice transmission, I think I need to keep an eye on Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan, lest they be led astray by you. Xia Shaochan was surprised. Xiaobai. The figure in front of her was Luo Xiaobai. Originally, she didn't want to go. She was not that curious. However, after thinking about it, she felt that it would be a bit strange if she didn't go alone, so she came. Lu Rinquang looked bitter. You will regret it. Zhang Xuanyu said, what are you afraid of? Wait a minute, let's watch from a distance first. Xia Shaochan responded, I can be invisible. I can get a little closer. It's best if one of you goes to attract attention. 35XS Han Fei raised his eyebrows. I can also be invisible. With that said, Han Fei used the half-baked stealth technique. This was the characteristic of the mist-hidden grass. Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were stunned. Han Fei can be invisible. Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. Fei Fei. You've gone too far. Han Fei said disdainfully, who told you not to know? Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. I'm a soul warrior. Why do I need to be invisible? After a while, they climbed to the top of a mountain behind Baosho Academy. Rather than calling it a mountain, it was more appropriate to call it the edge of the floating island. There was a cliff not far from the top of the mountain. If they jumped off, they would probably fly in the sky for a long time before falling into the sea. When they were about to reach Xiao Zhan's residence, Lu Rinquang said, you go ahead. I'll be right behind you. What are you scared of? Can teacher Xiao Zhan eat us? Xia Shaochan said calmly, Quang, don't be afraid. Don't be less courageous than your junior brothers and sisters. Suddenly, Zhang Xuanyu said, look, there's someone on the cliff. Everyone immediately turned their heads and saw a burly figure standing at the edge of the cliff. Upon closer inspection, the crowd realized that the man was not standing on the ground, but in the air, about half a meter above the ground. Xia Shaochan said, don't make a sound. I'll go invisible and get closer. Han Fei glanced at her. I can get closer too. Luo Xiaobai didn't say anything. Although she could also be invisible, she was not so curious. Han Fei followed Xia Shaochan, and the two cautiously crept behind a big stone. At this moment, Han Fei clearly saw that there was a big pit near Xiao Zhan's small shabby house. There were a few bull conches in the 35XS pit, and they had no intention of moving at all. Han Fei asked, is there a bull conch pit here? Xia Shaochan nodded. Yes, once I sneaked over when teacher Xiao Zhan went to the market to sell bull conches. Han Fei took a deep breath. That's weird. Why did Xiao Zhan get so many bull conches? Just as the two were chatting, suddenly, Han Fei felt his body lighten. Before he could react, he was already in the air. Hey! When Han Fei opened his eyes again, he found that Xia Shaochan was floating next to him, and Zhang Xuanyu and the others were all floating in the sky. Fuck! Before everyone realized what was going on, they saw that they, including Luo Xiaobai and Chu Jinnan, seemed to be strung together. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan thought, we don't know anything. We didn't see anything. Why are we flying? Xiao Zhan's voice sounded leisurely, you're here to look for excitement, right? Okay, I'll satisfy you. Everyone. Lu Rinquang yelled, I told you not to come. Teacher Xiao Zhan, I was forced to do this. Xiao Zhan nodded. Since we're here, let's form a team and have some fun. As soon as he said that, the 7 of them flew out at the same time. Only then did they realize that they seemed to be tied up by the fishing line. Swish, they didn't know how, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared outside the floating island. Between the clouds, they rippled quickly. Ah! Help! Teacher, I was wrong, Lu Renkuang was roaring wildly, Zhang Xuanyu was shouting for help, and Xia Shaochan was screaming. As for Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan, they were dumbfounded and kept shouting. Han Fei felt that his mouth and nose were filled with wind. This is so much more exciting than a roller coaster. What a roller coaster! This is a real roller coaster. The upgraded deluxe package super roller coaster in an alternate world. Anyone who had been on it would know what it felt like to ripple in the clouds and travel tens of thousands of meters in the blink of an eye. Han Fei covered his mouth with his hands. Teacher, we'll never come again. Zhang Xuanyu was horrified. Teacher, I feel like I'm going to fall. I can't fly anymore. Luo Xiaobai's face was black. A bunch of idiots. Lu Renkuang was even worse. He closed his eyes smoothly. God knew if he had fainted or something. Iron head dolls, 7 dolls on one line, flying, swinging, not afraid. La 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 la. Jingle, dong dong dang. I'm not afraid, everyone. Zhang Xuanyu shouted, Fei Fei. You're not afraid, but I am. Xia Shaochan screamed, why are you still singing at such a time? Han Fei shouted, I'm suppressing the fear in my heart. You don't understand. I'm bringing you some joy. Zhang Xuanyu was speechless and scolded, joy. Lu Renkuang scolded, lunatics, a bunch of lunatics. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan held each other's hands tightly, tears almost falling. What kind of people are they? We really didn't see anything. Why are we on a roller coaster? Lu Renkuang slowly opened his eyes. Sooner or later, I'll be pissed to death by you. At this time, Xiao Zhan's voice echoed in everyone's ears. How about it? Is it exciting? Lu Renkuang roared, exciting, exciting, teacher, stop playing. Han Fei added, exciting, exciting, teacher, we're going to cultivate. Xiao Zhan nodded. Since it's exciting, let's play a little longer, everyone shouted, don't. Iron head dolls, swish, Han Fei flew out in a parabola. The next second, Han Fei almost peed his pants. I'm at a height of tens of thousands of meters. Attach. With little gold attached, Han Fei grew a pair of wings on his back and then flew up. Xiao Zhan shouted, Iron head, fly back by yourself. Han Fei, fortunately, although this roller coaster seemed exciting, it didn't really fly far. They only wandered dozens of kilometers away for a while before they were pulled back. When Han Fei flew back by himself, he found that Xia Shaochan and the others had already run away. At this moment, they were gathered next to the treehouse. Han Fei landed with a black face. I just want to ask, whose bad idea was it? Zhang Xuanyu immediately pointed to Xia Shaochan. It was her. She insisted that teacher Xiao Zhan had a secret. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone. Xia Shaochan angrily pulled out her knife. Say it again. I said we were going to steal bull conches. It was you who suggested this. Now you're blaming it on me. Han Fei covered his face. It was dangerous. It was thrilling. I don't want to play with these people anymore. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan murmured together, their faces pale. They had never seen such a scene before. Then Ling Yuan said, Senior brother, senior sister, well, we're going to cultivate. After the two of them left, Lu Renkuang complained, I told you not to go. I want to vomit. Luo Shaochan rolled her eyes at them. I'm going to sleep. Lu Renkuang said, wait a minute. Everyone immediately looked at him. Lu Renkuang said leisurely, if you must explore the secrets of our school, in fact, there is a place that I never go to. Chapter 287. Lu Renkuang was no longer smiling as usual, and there was a hint of seriousness in his expression. Xia Shaochan immediately said suspiciously, Kuang, you can't joke around. If you're strung up and thrown out again, I'll hack you to death. Zhang Xuanyu nodded. That's right. The facts show that our school's secrets cannot be explored. What happened just now is a good example. Ha, I'm not going. Luo Xiaobai nodded. I'm not going either. Lu Renkuang said anxiously, you even dared to explore teacher Xiao Zhan's place, but you dare not explore this uninhabited place. Actually, on this mountain, there is a small cave. Han Fei was about to leave, but he was stopped by Lu Renkuang. Caves were always synonymous with fortuitous encounters. Stories of peerless trash falling off a cliff, mistakenly entering a cave, and returning powerfully 3 years later, were there any lack of them? Of course, most of these happened in legendary stories. Han Fei wondered, is there really no one watching? Lu Renkuang patted his chest and said, there's definitely no one. It's just that the place is a bit weird. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai turned around too. How so? Lu Renkuang said vividly, you all know that I was the first to come to school. At that time, we were poor and didn't have anything to eat. So, I wondered if I could find some on the mountain. Then, I mistakenly entered that cave. Lu Renkuang described solemnly, it's a very small cave in the north corner. It's covered by grasses outside, and it's dark inside. Maybe it was because my strength was relatively low at that time, and I seemed to have fainted after entering for only 200 meters. It was the principal who saved me. There's such a place. Everyone's interest was immediately piqued. Since they had already been on the roller coaster today, they didn't have to worry about it. GNCI now that he was done, he was left with a stubborn head. Don't you know how to hold your breath? Lu Renkuang said innocently, I held my breath the second time. But after I held my breath, my eyes burned, and then something seemed to seep into my skin. Then I fainted again. Xia Xiaochan's eyes lit up. Didn't you ask the president? Lu Renkuang replied, I did. But the principal told me that he would be disappointed if he knew. However, I've always felt that there's a big secret there. There's definitely something good there. I won't be disappointed. Zhang Xuanyu licked his lips and put his arms around Lu Renkuang's neck. Why didn't you tell me earlier? If you had told us earlier, why would we have gone to play trapeze? Xia Xiaochan took Luo Xiaobai's hand. Xiaobai, let's go and take a look. Luo Xiaobai looked at Lu Renkuang suspiciously. Are you sure? Lu Renkuang patted his chest and said, really? At that time, I was still a junior great fishing master, but now I'm a peak-level great fishing master. I should be able to hold on for a while. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Since that place is so mysterious, we won't take Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan with us. Otherwise, according to what you said, the two of them would have fainted long ago. Everyone discussed and set off again. This time, everyone was more careful. They let Lu Renkuang take the lead and were ready to escape at any time. The group passed through the forest and the wilderness overgrown with wild grass. Finally, Lu Renkuang pushed aside a bunch of broad-leaved grasses, and everybody saw the entrance of a cave that was not much bigger than a door. Han Fei was stunned. Really? Zhang Xuanyu hurriedly ran forward. Oh! Kuang Kuang, you're really something. Xia Xiaochan's eyes lit up. You're right. Lu Renkuang said proudly, see? I didn't lie to you, did I? Luo Xiaobai said lightly, hold your breath and go in. Pay attention when it hurts your eyes. Don't rush forward. Everybody nodded and held their breath at the same time. Xia Xiaochan summoned the red fire tricky lobster to lead the way. Walking forward like this, the cave was quite bright. After walking for about 200 meters, everybody suddenly stopped. Han Fei felt that his eyes were sore. He was about to send a voice transmission to the others, but the next moment, Lu Renkuang and the others fell to the ground one after another. Han Fei was so shocked that he forgot to hold his breath and hurriedly shouted. At that moment, an indescribable smell pierced his nose. Then, Han Fei's consciousness blurred, and he fell to the ground with a thud. The next morning. dozens of meters away from the entrance of the cave. The 5 of them were lying on the grass, and one of Zhang Xuanyu's feet was still on Lu Renkuang's belly. Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan both kicked Lu Renkuang's head. Han Fei was lying next to them with his arms and legs spread out. Ah! Who kicked me? Suddenly, for some reason, a foot fell on Lu Renkuang's head and woke him up. Since he woke up, the others were also woken up. Han Fei was in a daze and felt that his blood was freezing. What happened last night? Why did he pass out? Xia Shaochan said, Han Fei, you're pressing on my hair. Han Fei rubbed his head. Oh. Don't move. Let me get up first. After a while, the 5 of them sat on the grass, staring at each other. Lu Renkuang sighed. Ah. I passed out again. Xia Shaochan asked, who fished us out yesterday? Zhang Xuanyu said, I don't know. I just felt that my head was cramping and then I passed out. Luo Xiaobai frowned. It seems to be Han Fei, right? Seeing everyone looking at him, Han Fei said innocently, I fainted after following them. I don't know how I got out. Lu Renkuang took a deep breath. It was the president. After a moment, the 5 of them ran to the big tree at the school gate and found that Old Bai was eating a melon in the field while rocking a chair. Lu Renkuang ran over and asked, President, just tell me, what secrets are hidden in that cave? Old Bai glanced at Han Fei and the others and said leisurely, Yo. You're awake. Why didn't you cultivate properly? Cultivation, all kinds of fancy stuff. Luo Xiaobai asked, President, is there really a secret in that cave? Han Fei asked, President, what on earth is hidden in that cave? I smelled an inexplicable smell, and then I passed out inexplicably. Old Bai looked at Han Fei and the others strangely. Do you really want to know? Everyone nodded. Old Bai sighed leisurely. Actually, there are secrets everywhere. It's for your own good that I didn't tell you. Since you want to know, don't regret it. Lu Renkuang nodded quickly. I absolutely won't regret it. Even Han Fei was curious. It didn't make sense. Even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, he could at least try it. In that remote place, he fainted before he saw anything. Old Bai looked up at the sky and said slowly, I heard from my teacher that thousands of years ago, the first president of the Thug Academy, what was his name again? I can't remember. Anyway, he was a man who fought with a peerless master and was unfortunately poisoned. Everyone was immediately interested. This story was very interesting. Xia Shaochan asked, then what? Old Bai sneered. Then, our first president defeated his opponent. But he had to detoxify, right? So, with supreme divine power, he gathered the poison in one place and excreted it. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, so, we were almost poisoned? Han Fei thought for a moment and felt that something was wrong. Suddenly, Han Fei's face changed drastically. No. President, you just used the word excretion, right? How do you excrete? Everyone was stunned. What did Han Fei mean? Old Bai chuckled. How can I do that? The fastest way to excrete is, of course, to defecate. After thousands of years, the poisonous gas dissipated and the smell became much fainter. Pu, Yu, Xia Shaochan, Luo Xiaobai, and the others all looked disgusted. Lu Renkuang was dumbfounded. Zhang Xuanyu's face was pale. Kuang, how persevering are you? You've been to this place 3 times. EW. Humph. Luo Xiaobai snorted coldly. She swore that she would never explore the secrets of the school with these bastards again. Xia Shaochan said coldly, Kuang, why didn't you become retarded because of the smoke? Han Fei patted Lu Renkuang on the shoulder. Hey! Kuang. Be more careful in the future. I'd rather be a trapeze artist again. That's better than being passed out from the smell of that thing. Lu Renkuang was dumbfounded and said with a sad face, what did you do? I fainted 3 times because of the smell. Damn it, who am I going to complain to? Then Old Bai also scolded with a smile, go back to your room. Cultivate? Do you want to go there again? Cell phone site. Chapter 288. After experiencing 2 failed explorations in the academy, everyone really went into seclusion. After cultivating, no one mentioned the word explore anymore. Han Fei stayed in the cave and was also practicing the 108 spirit-absorbing combat powers. He found that although at this time, cultivating this could no longer increase the upper limit of spiritual energy. However, it could gradually allow the body to absorb the energy that dissipated in the muscles, bones, and flesh, and the effect was extraordinary. Half a month later, the cave where Han Fei was in suddenly surged with spiritual energy, making the weeds around the cave lush. Luo Xiaobai sensed the situation here first through the flowers and plants. So he took Ling Yuan and Chu Jin Nan to the entrance of the cave. Luo Xiaobai said to Ling Yuan and Chu Jin Nan, wait here. Cultivate and absorb the escaping spiritual energy. Luo Xiaobai stood at the entrance of the cave, in case of any accidents during the breakthrough, so that she could help him in time. Crack. After more than an hour, the surging spiritual energy in the cave gradually dissipated, and Han Fei was slightly surprised to see the changes in his data. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 29, peak level Great Fishing Master, spiritual energy, 12256134499, spiritual heritage, LV, high grade, spiritual beast, twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish weapon, blue sea wandering dragon daggers majoring in gong, pia water vein technique, volume 3 of void fishing, The upper limit of spiritual energy has increased by 500 points. Han Fei was stunned. When he made the breakthrough just now, he felt that a large amount of energy in his body was digested and absorbed, and his body seemed to have returned to normal. Could this be the effect of energy absorption? However, Han Fei was also puzzled. Was this number the bottleneck? Didn't this mean that no matter how weak he was, it was impossible to increase the upper limit of spiritual energy by practicing the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies? After pondering for a while, he decided that these were things that he should consider in the future. Han Fei's first reaction was to take out the rod on the back of the rock-holding turtle. Han Fei frowned when he picked it up. He could carry it. It wasn't as strenuous as he had imagined. However, when he started waving the stick, he couldn't help but smile bitterly again. It was still too heavy. He only swung it twice, and his speed was extremely slow. Not to mention fighting, it would be difficult for him to even execute a set of staff techniques. Forget it. One day, I will be able to wield you like a flaming wheel. Because most of the energy had been refined, Han Fei summoned his spiritual energy and prepared to grow his hair back. Roar, ao ao ao, come out, come out, Luo Xiaobai came in and looked at Han Fei in confusion. What are you doing? Then, Luo Xiaobai saw spiritual energy surging on Han Fei's head, and fine short hair was growing. Unfortunately, its growth was extremely slow. It seemed like it had only grown an inch after a long time. Luo Xiaobai stared at it for a long time and said slowly, is your hair glowing? Han Fei quickly stopped and asked in confusion, why is it glowing? Luo Xiaobai approached and observed carefully. You're using too much spiritual energy. Now that the spiritual energy has gathered on the hair, it will emit a faint glow. Ah. Han Fei's expression was a bit weird and he was a bit depressed. He had tried so hard, but his hair still didn't grow out. If he were to walk out like this with a glowing head, there would be 100% chance of people turning their heads. Forget it, forget it. Han Fei quickly dispersed all the spiritual energy. In the end, he changed from a bald head to a crew cut. Han Fei took out a blue sea wandering dragon dagger and looked at himself in the mirror. Not bad, although the crew cut hair was a bit short, it was still quite good looking. Therefore, Han Fei was overjoyed and said cheerfully, hey. Xiaobai, what do you think? Am I handsome? Luo Xiaobai glanced at Han Fei lightly and expressionlessly said, since you've made a breakthrough, I'm leaving. By the way, since you've made a breakthrough, you'll start farming in a few days. Han Fei, Luo Xiaobai left without a word, making Han Fei not so confident in his handsome appearance. Walking out of the cave, Han Fei found that Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were sitting cross-legged. Lien. Ling Yuan's aura was unstable. With a flash of spiritual energy in Han Fei's hand, a string of spiritual energy poured into Ling Yuan's body. Han Fei said in a low voice, don't worry. Make a breakthrough. On the other side, Chu Jinnan seemed to be unable to suppress the breakthrough. Han Fei shouted, don't make a breakthrough. Hold it back. Chu Jinnan's face turned pale, he gritted his teeth tightly, immediately dispersed the spiritual energy, opened his eyes, and glanced at Han Fei apologetically. After a while, Ling Yuan successfully made a breakthrough, and the surrounding spiritual energy swarmed in. Han Fei even threw a little spiritual spring into her. Seeing that Ling Yuan had successfully made a breakthrough, Han Fei smiled and said, not bad, you have a good foundation. Then Han Fei looked at Chu Jinnan. Have you completed the 108 movements? Chu Jinnan's face was pale and he stammered, there are still 2 left. Han Fei nodded slightly. Chu Jinnan's body was too weak. Although his realm was high, so what? If Chu Jinnan fought with Ling Yuan now, he was definitely no match for her. At this time, Lu Renquang, who often came out to eat, ran over. Han Fei, I heard that you have long hair. Han Fei said angrily, why are you here again? Lu Renquang looked at Han Fei's head curiously and kept nodding. Ha! It seems not bad. Seeming to notice Han Fei's unfriendly gaze, Lu Renquang smiled and said, it's almost time for dinner. I came to tell you to eat. Han Fei glanced at him contemptuously. You only know how to eat. Han Fei asked, hey. Do you have a fine iron rod? Huh? Fine iron rod? Why do I need that lousy rod? However, I do have some iron tree rods. Han Fei said angrily, why do you need so many lousy rods? Throw one to each of them and try to beat them. Lu Renquang glanced at the 2 of them. Ha! Has Ling Yuan made a breakthrough? A smile appeared on Ling Yuan's cold face. Thank you, senior brother Han Fei, for your spiritual energy. Han Fei shook his head. Anyway, it's only a matter of 2 days. You don't need to use spiritual energy to fight with Chu Jinnan. It's just a competition of strength. After a moment, the rod in Chu Jinnan's hand was knocked away. He was completely defeated. This was not the physique that a junior peak-level fishing master should have at all. It was still too weak. Lu Renquang exclaimed, Fei. Don't expect too much. Chu Jinnan is already fast enough. When he first entered the school, he only had the physique of a level 7 fisher. Now he has the physique of a level 9 fisher. Clank, 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 at this moment, Xia Xiaochan's voice came from behind. He is fast, but the physique of a fisher is still not enough. He must suppress his physique to that of a fishing master. Otherwise, there will be endless hidden dangers. Han Fei didn't even need to turn his head to know that Xia Xiaochan had come. Only when she wore beautiful clothes would she wear these bell jewelry. If they really fought, they would be useless at all. Han Fei was surprised. Ha! Have you also come out of seclusion? Xia Xiaochan snorted. I didn't. While talking, Xia Xiaochan's eyes kept glancing at Han Fei's head, which made Han Fei's face droop. Hey! Your new hairstyle is not bad. As soon as she said so, spiritual energy surged and a sharp blade tore through the air and pierced Han Fei's shoulder. Han Fei didn't flinch at all. He also wanted to test his strength to see if Xia Xiaochan could stab into his flesh this time. Clank. Chilla, a crisp sound, accompanied by the sliding of the knife, produced a violent friction sound. Xia Shaochan said in shock, "Ha! Han Fei, your physique has become stronger again." Han Fei looked down and found a long bloodstain on his shoulder. He was speechless. "My skin is broken." "Le Renquang," Xia Shaochan said with a black face, "shut up. It's just a broken skin. What else do you want?" Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were both dumbfounded and felt their mouths were dry. "Just a broken skin? Why did you scream like this?" Chu Jinnan was a little stunned. How strong is her physique? Is it because of the 108 spirit-absorbing combat powers? After he succeeded in his cultivation, he became like this. Tai. Chu Jinnan couldn't help but feel refreshed. Since he was a child, his physique had been his biggest weakness. Now, the opportunity to improve his physique was right in front of him. Even if he had to risk his life, he had to suppress the urge to make a breakthrough. In the next few days, Han Fei didn't continue to cultivate. Lien. Strength was something that needed to be accumulated, it couldn't be used all the time. Cultivation was a good thing. For example, Xia Shaochan was a typical person who grew up in battles. And Lu Renquang, this guy was even more terrifying. He could become stronger by eating. It was ridiculous. And Luo Xiaobai, her cultivation method was usually in a place with abundant vegetation. Many times, she would choose to cultivate in the plantation. Most of the time, she would choose to cultivate in the plantation. Lien. 5 days later. When Zhang Xuanyu came out of seclusion, everyone finally stood on the same starting line. They were all peak-level great fishing masters. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were both junior fishing masters. Every time they saw Han Fei and the others, they shivered. Why did we enter such a school? Cultivation school. The age difference between us was only 1 year. At this moment, the 7 of them stood in the plantation, staring at each other. Zhang Xuanyu asked, "So, not only the 5 of us, but the 7 people in our school have all been arranged to farm?" Many members of the fish dragons were shocked. What? Our young master is going to farm? Cell phone. Chapter 289. In front of everyone's eyes, there were colorful flowers and spirit fruits of various grades, all of them intertwined with each other. What greeted him was the fragrance of the grass and the soil. Han Fei swallowed. 1,000-acre plantation should be big enough, right? The plantation left by old Jiang in the Heavenly Water Village was thousands of acres in size. Back then, when he took care of everything by himself, he almost died of exhaustion. However, just thinking about the plantation in front of him made Han Fei's blood freeze. Xiao Zhan pointed at the 100,000 mu plantation and said, "From today onwards, there will be no more. It's yours. You can go to the level 2 fishery as you wish, provided that the maintenance of the plantation is not neglected for 1 year." 1 year? Everyone cried out in alarm. Han Fei was shocked. "Master, are you serious? A year of farming?" Zhang Xuanyu was about to cry. "Teacher, I think we can go to level 3. It's the level 3 fishery." Luo Xiaobai said, "Sir, I don't understand." Xia Shaochan asked, "Can you not farm?" Lu Renquang mumbled, "Farming is good, and there's food." "Shut up." Everyone stared at this damn fatty. All he knew was to eat. Even Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were confused. Wasn't he here to study? Why was he farming now? Well, if we want to farm, we should at least wait until we become peak-level great fishing masters like senior brother and senior sister. Xiao Zhan also glanced at Chu Jinnan and Zhang Han and said, "The aptitude of you two is a bit poor, but it doesn't matter. Aptitude is not the absolute key." Lien. Then Xiao Zhan said to the others, "Within a year, I want you to help Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan become great fishing masters." At the same time, you are not allowed to become dangling fishers within a year. Pfft, everyone was dumbfounded. Oh my God. Are you the teacher, or are we the teachers? If we take our juniors with us, what will you guys do? Also, what the hell is not allowed to become a dangling fisher? If he couldn't go any further, what else could he do but break through? Xiao Zhan was about to leave when he suddenly stopped. Oh, I forgot to give you the fourth brocade pouch. As he spoke, Xiao Zhan handed over the brocade pouch and said, remember, if you want to enter the sea, only 2 people can go. The other 3 must stay underground. Xiao Zhan left. He seemed to be quite carefree. He even picked a melon from the plantation and brought it back. Luo Xiaobai took the brocade pouch, opened it, and her face changed. Finally, she silently handed the brocade pouch to Han Fei. Han Fei took a look. It read, suppressing his cultivation level to that of a peak-level fishing master, he concentrated on the plantation. Practicing and practicing basic skills for a year. 1 year in the level 3 fishery. After they saw the brocade pouch, they couldn't help but frown. Zhang Xuanyu was puzzled. Practice basic skills. Xia Shaochan asked, what if I make a breakthrough? Luo Xiaobai shook her head. Since this was the 4th brocade pouch, it would definitely be more difficult than the previous 3. Therefore, there must be a deeper meaning behind this. Lu Renquang scratched his head. Anyway, I can't figure out what the deeper meaning is. Fei Fei, can you figure it out? Han Fei chuckled. I'm too lazy to think about it. I have a headache now. How can I farm 100,000 acres of land? Zhang Xuanyu patted Han Fei's shoulder and said with mixed feelings, Fei Fei. This is the land you farmed. I'll give you a chance to be the captain. This time, you will command. Han Fei raised his eyelids. Are you serious? Luo Xiaobai also nodded. I agree. I really don't know how to farm. Han Fei chuckled. Okay, that's what you said. Xia Shaochan asked suspiciously, what are you going to do? Do you have any bad ideas? Han Fei snapped his fingers smugly. What bad ideas can I have? I'm the chief commander. I have to coordinate the overall situation. Xia Shaochan immediately glared at him. Do you want to command but not work? Han Fei looked at Xia Shaochan's dagger. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. Do I look like that kind of person? Xia Shaochan glared. Yes. Zhang Xuanyu echoed, no wonder I had a bad feeling just now. It turns out that you want to slack off. Han Fei quickly interrupted, Zhang Xuanyu, be responsible for your words. I'll be the one watering the plantation of 100,000 acres. Lu Renquang muttered, but you can't always slack off. How can we manage 100,000 acres of land? Han Fei waved to a member of the fish dragons, and then a level 9 fisher ran over eagerly. Young master, what can I do for you? Han Fei said, arrange dozens of people to measure the entire plantation. By the way, get me some paper and pens. The gang member's face turned green. Damn, dozens of people to measure 100,000 acres of land? Han Fei casually threw out dozens of phantom fish and said, they're very nutritious. Enough for all of you to become fishing masters. The man perked up. No problem. Don't worry, young master. It'll only take me 3 days to get it done. Han Fei nodded in satisfaction. Arrange some people to pick all types of spiritual fruits and spiritual plants in the plantation and mark their locations on the map. Remember, don't leave any behind. Yes, young master. Zhang Xuanyu looked at the leaving members of the fish dragons dumbfoundedly. That's it? Han Fei put on a weird smile, and he was immediately possessed by a genius. Han Fei said confidently, if a worker wants to do a good job, he must first sharpen his tools. Is 100,000 acres large? Not really. What we need to do is to divide tens of thousands of spiritual plants in such a large area, but this is obviously not enough. So, I decided to cut off the ones we don't need and keep the ones we do need. In this way, we can expand the planting range and reduce the types of spiritual plants. With the cooperation of Xiaobai and Chu Jinnan, it'll be done in a month. Everyone. Lu Renquan scratched his head. You don't understand. Zhang Xuanyu asked, I understand. You want to reduce production. Xia Shaochan asked, so, don't we still have to farm? Luo Xiaobai nodded. Although there are some things I don't quite understand, I agree. Han Fei said proudly, what do you know? Do you know that I can save 11 months of time by planning this for all of you? In the next 11 months, we'll be able to sleep soundly. Everyone. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were both dumbfounded. We don't know, and we dare not ask. Anyway, we just do what senior brother said, in the distance, at the school gate. Old Bai frowned and said, no. This kid's brain is pretty good. It won't have the effect of nourishing his mind. When Ren Yu said lightly, don't worry. They just want to be lazy. Ha! Didn't the fish dragons make a lot of money recently and want to expand? There are plenty of things for them to do later. Xiao Zhan scratched his head. What's wrong with Han Fei's brain? Although I don't know what he's going to do, he seems to be very smart. Old Bai snorted. Smart. Later, ask Han Fei to plow the land and give spiritual energy to Zhang Xuanyu, ask the little fatty to trim the flowers and leaves with his combat skills, and ask Xia Shaochan to be responsible for picking the plantation. As for Luo Xiaobai, she is a manipulator. In the early stage of planning the plantation, she will contribute a lot. Wen Ren Yu nodded. In this way, everyone's abilities can be trained. Xiao Zhan asked, what about Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan? Old Bai chuckled. It's up to them. Do you think they are stupid? Do they really want to take care of their junior brothers and sisters? 1 month later. The plantation of the Thug Academy had become a rectangular array, and there was a wooden sign on the edge of each field, on which the name of the spiritual plant was written. In the field, there was a gully inside and outside, and there was a path in the middle for easy walking. In the center of the plantation, on the training ground the size of 3 or 4 football fields, a mantis shrimp lay on the ground in boredom, its 9 tails wagging on the ground. Among them, 2 tails were waving in the air, cutting through the void and whipping a boy and a girl. Bam! Ling Yuan raised her shield in front of Chu Jinnan, and the next moment, the 2 of them were slapped away at the same time. They didn't know how many times they had been slapped away. During this period, their strength had improved rapidly. During the day, they fought with the 9-tailed mantis shrimp and went back to absorb spiritual energy at night. Lien. Ling Yuan pulled Chu Jinnan and said, your sea god grass can't control its tail at all. Also, the combat skills that senior brother Han Fei taught you are not flexible enough. You could have dodged it just now. Chu Jinnan blushed slightly. I wanted to entangle it with the sea god grass, but I was a step too late. I won't do it next time. Ling Yuan shook her head. You can't control it. It has 9 tails. And it's so powerful. You've experienced it before. If senior brother Han Fei hadn't allowed it to use only 2 tails, we would have been killed. Ring, 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 with a swish, the 2 passed by the training ground, and Han Fei shouted, Chu Jinnan, why did you fail again? You have 1 month to make your physique reach the peak of a junior fishing master. Chu Jinnan, this was the first time he and Ling Yuan had seen Han Fei and Xia Shaochan pass by. Ling Yuan sighed. Senior sister Xiaobai will be here soon. Sure enough, after a while. Ring, ring, Luo Xiaobai slowly walked out of the ground and looked at the 2 of them. Have you seen Han Fei and Xia Shaochan? Ling Yuan blinked her eyes. Ah! The 2 of them just ran away with a green striped fruit. I don't know where they went. Luo Xiaobai's face was black. These two bastards, they're stealing food again. In just 1 month, hundreds of kinds of spiritual fruits had been eaten to extinction by the two of them. Fortunately, Lu Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu went to the level 2 fishery. Otherwise, thousands of kinds of spiritual fruits would have been extinct. Mobile phones. Chapter 290. Ever since the fish dragons gained a foothold in the Blue Sea town, they gradually led the trend of food in the town. Fish dragon barbecue stalls, fish dragon hot pot restaurants, as well as fish dragon buffet restaurants and fish dragon mahjong houses, had opened more than 100 stores in the Blue Sea town. The members of the fish dragons gradually changed from fishermen to fishing masters and even great fishing masters. With Han Fei's help, Li Gang became a fishing master too. Of course, he was just an ordinary one. After all, he advanced with the spiritual energy of rare fish and didn't have a solid foundation. So, in terms of combat skills, they were definitely not good enough. But what did the fish dragons need now? Not thugs, but a group of loyal and reliable entrepreneurs. At this moment, Han Fei and Xia Shaochan were hiding in an exclusive private room of the Fish Dragon Buffet restaurant. Han Fei was cutting a watermelon and said with a smile, "Hey. This is the last watermelon. I've saved the seeds. I'll plant them on a piece of land next year." Xia Shaochan took a bite of the watermelon and said in a daze, "I envy Lu Renquang and the others so much." Han Fei said in disdain, "What fun can there be in the level 2 fishery? They're just leftovers. At most, the two of them will go and explore some ordinary danger zones." Xia Shaochan held her chin with one hand. "That's still better than farming. It's been a month. It's been so hard." Han Fei picked up a piece of watermelon and took a bite. "Just do it. I have to gather spiritual energy and fertilize the land one by one. It's too hard for me." Xia Shaochan glanced at Han Fei in disdain. "Don't think I don't know that you've been studying a bunch of spirit-gathering arrays in the library. You don't intend to fertilize at all. You want to transform the entire plantation into an enormous spirit-gathering array." At this moment, Li Gang came with a couple of people with snacks. "Young master, it's been a long time since you last visited. You have no idea how complicated the management of the fish dragons is. Even I'm having a hard time managing them." Han Fei patted Li Gang's belly and said angrily, "Look at you. You've put on weight again. I'm told that little Red is pregnant." At the mention of this, Lian Ang's expression immediately brightened. His face flushed as he said, "It's all thanks to you, young master. If it wasn't for young master, how could Gang Zi be where he is today?" Gangzi's respect for young master. Han Fei quickly waved his hand. "Stop, stop. How's the thing I asked you to prepare?" Lian Ang's expression changed slightly, and he said with expectation in his eyes, "Young master, the 5th academy in the Heavenly Water Village has been built. We'll listen to you and only recruit talented students and the children of our gang. Provide them with the best resources and teach them only mysterious level and spirit level combat skills. In less than 10 years, our fish dragons will definitely have a great fishing master." Han Fei nodded. "Take the money from the gang. In addition, you have to work hard on your own. With your current strength, you really won't be able to hold the fort in the future." Yes, young master, please enjoy your meal." After Li Gang left, Xia Shaochan looked at Han Fei curiously. "Huh. You seem to treat your subordinates quite well. You've earned so much money, but you don't need it for yourself. Why are you keeping it?" Han Fei smiled. "What do you think you can buy with mid-quality pearls?" Xia Shaochan said, "A lot of things. You can buy everything in the Linglong Tower." Han Fei was disdainful. "Silly girl, do you really think that everything in the Linglong Tower is good? Most of the things there are abandoned, and the best ones are spiritual weapons. As for combat skills, they can't compare to the library in our school." Han Fei said unhurriedly, let me tell you, you have to be farsighted. I'm killing two birds with one stone. Firstly, I'm giving back to the Heavenly Water Village, and secondly, I'm leaving a way out for myself. Our school has a big secret. It used to be as glorious as it is now. If something happens again, I can at least leave a way out for us, can't I? Xia Shaochan rolled her eyes. The fish dragons? If the Thug Academy is gone, the fish dragons will be occupied immediately. There's no way out for us. Han Fei said with a smile, you don't understand. Even ants have a way to survive. Otherwise, wouldn't the white fish and yellow fish in the ocean have been extinct if they're only fist-sized? Xia Shaochan said, yellow fish don't have fists. Han Fei. 2 months later, Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renquang returned, and Luo Xiaobai and Xia Shaochan went out. Only Han Fei often wandered in the plantation with a lot of books in his arms. Sometimes, he would squat on the ground and draw pictures, looking nervous. Half a year later, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan advanced to be advanced fishing masters one after another. Now the two of them could already resist the attack of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp's 4 tails. Although they were a bit embarrassed, they finally blocked the attack. On a certain day 10 months later, Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan were resting when they suddenly felt that the entire plantation was surging with spiritual energy. Spiritual energy that could topple mountains and overturn seas swarmed over. Chu Jinan exclaimed, did senior brother succeed? Ling Yuan found it incredible. Is there such a large spirit gathering formation? How did he do it? In the school. When Ren Yu and Xiao Zhan came to the school gate one after another, feeling the spiritual energy swarming in from all directions, they couldn't help but feel shocked. When Ren Yu said in surprise, such a large spirit gathering formation? That's impossible. Xiao Zhan licked his lips and said, that kid seems to have succeeded. Old Bai grunted and slowly got up. Let's go and have a look. The three of them stood in the air and looked down from the sky. They were surprised to find that in the huge plantation, there were nearly 100 strange patterns. Some patterns were like a fish, some were many circles, and some even looked like fishing rods. Old Bai exclaimed in surprise. He didn't engrave a spirit-gathering formation on it, but carved it in these patterns. Then, these patterns and patterns are attracted to each other, forming a natural spirit-gathering formation? Wen Ren Yu nodded. Although I don't understand it, it's very good. The spiritual energy in the entire plantation is more than 3 times higher than before. At the same time, because of the massive spiritual energy gathering in the plantation, the turbulence even attracted the attention of the entire Blue Sea town. A large number of people gathered, and many strong masters hung in the sky. Including the presidents of the 3 academies and the mayor, they all stopped and looked thoughtful. Han Fei was bragging to Xia Shaochan and the others. Han Fei said smugly, I knew you couldn't understand it. This is called a crop circle. Ba, ba, ba. This is called a plantation circle. I used 108 patterns to form a large array. Once the large array is completed, it can be used for at least 10 years. Isn't it awesome? Ha ha ha. Everyone was dumbfounded. Even we can't understand it. Why are you showing off? Han Fei laughed. Okay, now it's my turn to play in the sea. You can be jealous. Xia Shaochan nodded. I'll go with you. At this moment, Wen Ren Yu's voice sounded. Take Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan with you. Han Fei was speechless. Why did they go out with only 2 people? Why did I have to take 3 burdens with me? Yes, in Han Fei's eyes, Xia Shaochan was also a burden. This was not a person who could save themselves from trouble. Old Bai landed in front of the 3 of them and pointed to the plantation. Did you study it independently? Han Fei's eyes lit up. You know my stuff. I combined the idea of the crop circle with old Zhang's spirit-gathering scripture, and it took me nearly a year to develop it. In the past 10 months, he had studied at least dozens of arrays. Although he hadn't figured out the other arrays yet, he believed that he had deduced the spirit-gathering array to the peak. Han Fei grinned. Not that I'm bragging, but no one else in the Blue Sea town can build such a large spirit-gathering array. Old Bai slapped Han Fei on the head. Stop bragging. A really powerful spirit-gatherer can build it in 3 days at most. You've been working on it for 10 months and you're still bragging? Dumbfounded, Han Fei exclaimed, that's impossible. My array is interconnected. How can it be built in 3 days? President, tell me. I promise I won't beat him to death. Old Bai sneered. Do you think I'm kidding? Fuck off. Don't brag anymore. Otherwise, don't tell anyone that you are a student of the Thug Academy. Lu Renquang was speechless. He blew up again. Zhang Xuanyu got up and patted the mud on his butt. I knew it. You fooled me. So you were just bragging. Han Fei blushed and covered his face, shouting as he walked, come on, let's go to the fishery. Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan were both stunned for a while before they realized what was going on and hurriedly chased after Han Fei. Xia Shaochan was not so anxious. After Han Fei left, she asked, President, is there really someone who can build such a large spirit-gathering array in 3 days? Old Bai touched his beard and nodded. Yes, there must be someone. I know a spirit-gatherer at the level of law enforcer. Pooh, everyone staggered. President, are you fucking kidding us? Wen Ren Yu and Xiao Zhan also looked at Old Bai in surprise. This is too much. Why don't you compare him to a venerable? Zhang Xuanyu swallowed. We must not tell Han Fei about this. Well, just tell him that he is still weak. Xia Shaochan stuck out her tongue. Is Han Fei really so talented as a spirit gatherer? Chapter 291. The Level 2 Fishery. The sunlight was dazzling on the surface of the sea. The waves were covered in a layer of golden light by the sunlight. It was a spectacular sight. Han Fei and Xia Shaochan had been in the Level 2 fishery for nearly 2 months. Because he took Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan with him, Han Fei couldn't explore any dangerous places. Of course, Xia Shaochan discovered the weirdness of this water before she did anything. The water temperature here was rather cold, as if there was something extremely cold. At this moment, Xia Shaochan was sitting on the back of the giant arowana and swinging her feet in the water. Not far away from her, a large patch of seaweed lay flat on the surface of the sea. These seaweeds sometimes changed into nets and spears, entangling a few ironhead fish from time to time. On that patch of seaweed, Ling Yuan was fighting a lobster with 2 swords in her hands. The swords clashed with the lobster's claws, causing loud clanging noises. Xia Shaochan kicked the water and shouted, Ling Yuan, you are an armorist, not a soul warrior. You can control swords, but don't use them. And Chu Jinnan, do you want to farm in the sea with such a large area of seaweed? The main purpose of the manipulator is to move. Xi the enemy? What happened? You've actually provided the enemy with a favorable fighting environment. As soon as Xia Shaochan's voice fell, the large area of seaweed suddenly gathered in the middle and then spread to the big lobster. Soon, the lobster was almost covered by seaweed. The lobster tried its best to break free, but the seaweed was so tough that its joints were stuck. Ding ding ding, dozens of long swords flew out of Ling Yuan's armor box and attacked a corner of the big lobster's head, killing it. A moment later, the seaweed converged and transformed. Ren shape. Chu Jinnan scratched his head in embarrassment. Senior sister, Xia Shaochan waved her hand and said, go cook on the fishing boat. I'm going to the bottom of the sea to see what Han Fei is doing. Han Fei found a gathering place of mantis shrimp in the Level 2 fishery. This was a seabed densely covered with sand and rocks. There were countless large holes in the sand at the bottom of the seabed. Whenever a school of fish passed by and looked for food in the sand at the bottom of the sea, a long figure would always emerge from a big hole, which was exactly the same kind as the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. At this moment, in a certain cave, sand was flying and smoke was billowing. Bang! The shrimp hole collapsed, and two giant mantis shrimps were stuck face to face. The scene was indescribable. Han Fei said gloomily, "Nine-tailed mantis shrimp, enough. I've been watching for a long time, and you're still not done." The nine-tailed mantis shrimp waved its tail in the water and wanted to rub against him, but it was kicked away by Han Fei. "I'll give you another 100 seconds. If you don't finish, I'll braise mantis shrimp." Suddenly, Han Fei turned his head to the side, only to see Xia Shaochan staring at the nine-tailed mantis shrimp rolling in the sand and then at Han Fei, dumbfounded. Han Fei blushed. Well. Actually, I just brought the nine-tailed mantis shrimp here to find a girlfriend. It will be over soon." Xia Shaochan said gloomily, "You guys are disgusting." Han Fei was speechless. Why are we the only ones who are disgusting? It's the nine-tailed mantis shrimp that is too disgusting. Yes, this guy must have been single for too long. Then, Han Fei punched out angrily. In a shrimp hole next to him, a mantis shrimp ran out angrily, followed by a big seal the size of a hill. After a while, Han Fei dragged a 3 or 4 meter long mantis shrimp directly to the boat. He couldn't stay any longer. He was too ashamed. On the boat, Xia Shaochan and the other two were dumbfounded to see Han Fei come back with a mantis shrimp. Was he going to eat a mantis shrimp in front of the nine-tailed mantis shrimp? Wasn't that inappropriate? Han Fei snorted. "You guys do it. The mantis shrimp tastes better." Ling Yuan, peel the shell. After a while, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp came back. As soon as he saw a pile of mantis shrimp shells on the boat, he immediately lowered his head and hid to the side, shivering all over. Chu Jinnan said, "Senior brother, why don't you take back the shrimp?" "Nine tails." Han Fei snorted. "No, let it watch." The nine-tailed mantis shrimp secretly raised his eyes and glanced at Han Fei, thinking, "Dumbass master is too scary. I'm just going to find a girlfriend. Do you have to go that far?" Xia Shaochan didn't care. She picked up a large piece of lobster meat and stuffed it into her mouth. After eating for a long time, she said slowly, "Shall we go back tomorrow?" "Well, I haven't found the place you said anyway." "Let's go back." With that, Han Fei looked at Chu Jinnan and Ling Yuan. "Are you two ready to become great fishing masters?" Chu Jinnan shook his head. "Senior brother, I feel that my physique is still a little weak." Han Fei waved his hand. "You can make the breakthrough now. Your physique is already comparable to that of a normal peak-level fishing master. You're on the same starting line as them. If you want to break through again, that's a matter of opportunity. We won't help you find it." Ling Yuan nodded. "Thank you, senior brother and senior sister." The two of them had long wanted to break through. Hearing this, he immediately began his breakthrough. In the eyes of others, this seemed to be an impossible matter. But in the eyes of Han Fei and Xia Shaochan, it was a matter of course. If you're in this situation, with the help of spiritual fish, you can't become a great fishing master within a year. How can you be called a genius if you can't break through to become a great fishing master within a year? Although everyone had been playing crazily in the past year, they had done everything they needed to do. Lu Rinquang could now control a terrifying number of weapons, which was probably comparable to Li Honey's. After all, it was not a simple thing to trim branches and leaves with torrents of knives and swords. Luo Xiaobai also discovered a new ability of hers. She could actually attach herself to spiritual plants and shuttle among them, which was simply a divine skill. Zhang Xuanyu was the most diligent one in the sea. According to him, it was because he deduced the two combat skills, Furious Sea 9-layered rods and Furious Sea waves. He wanted to practice in the sea for a while. What was more intriguing was that these two combat skills were both created by him. Xia Shaochan was even more amazing. In this year during the event, she spent as much as half a year in the sea. Her heaven-level movement technique, roaming technique, was very good. In terms of speed, she was undoubtedly the fastest among the group of people. Even if Han Fei was attached to Little Gold and used the shadow swimming art, it was not easy for him to catch her. As for Han Fei himself, after a year of cultivation, his greatest achievement was in arrays. He had copied the spirit-gathering scripture left by old Jiang from beginning to end. Although he had only mastered the spirit-gathering formation among these large-scale formations, he was still able to use it. However, it wasn't like he didn't gain anything from other types of formations. It could be said that he had roughly learned all of the numerous small array formations in the book. For example, spirit-trapping arrays, spiritual energy barriers, stealth arrays, breath-concealing arrays, spirit explosion arrays, etc., covering no less than 30 types. Of course, these small arrays would not make Han Fei stronger, but they would make him an all-rounder. Outside the array, the energy in Han Fei's body was basically digested. Although his strength had not been improved, his indestructible body had been improved. Not only was his skin thicker, but his internal organs were also tougher. Making a breakthrough on the sea was definitely a dangerous thing, especially for novices like Chu Jinan and Ling Yuan. Of course, with Han Fei and Xia Shaochan here, they were not afraid. Han Fei kicked the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Go, kill all the fish that try to approach. Xia Shaochan curled her lips. It's really miserable to be your spiritual beast. Han Fei sneered. You don't know how happy it was just now. Frowning, Xia Shaochan asked, we've been here for 2 months. Why don't you catch a contractual spiritual beast for them? Han Fei was helpless. Then should we help them cultivate and become dangling fishers? To become dangling fishers. Some things can be helped, but some things have to be done by themselves. When the 5 of us went to catch exotic contractual spiritual beasts, although Little White led the way, didn't the 5 of us catch them together in the end? Xia Shaochan thought for a while. That's right. Let's leave the marked map to them and let them find it by themselves. Han Fei nodded indifferently. When we go back this time, we will go to the level 3 fishery. Is it in the level 3 fishery? Xia Shaochan stretched out. Yes. I've been bored to death for a whole year. With that, Xia Shaochan stood on the deck and fell into the sea on her back. Lying on the sea, she said cheerfully, the sea is so fun. Farming? It's not suitable for me. Han Fei said, come up. It's almost time for dinner. Why are you still running into the water? Xia Shaochan said, let's make a breakthrough too. If I'm not mistaken, Little White and the others should have all become dangling fishers by now. In the next second, Xia Shaochan flashed and appeared next to the hot pot, which made Han Fei speechless. Is teleportation a big deal? Can you do whatever you want just because you can teleport? Xia Shaochan said helplessly, I don't know why, but I feel that I can't use up my spiritual energy recently, so I want to use some. Han Fei was speechless. Is she showing off? At this moment, spiritual energy suddenly surged from Xia Shaochan's body. Accompanied by spiritual energy, there was even a trace of red light. In an instant, Han Fei's face changed greatly and he stood up with a swish. Not good. Why did she suddenly have an attack? Cell phone website. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.